tell me what to make. I don't care about your take. It's my channel, and I do what I want. Wah!
All right, we're live. Welcome back to Hobby Vomit. Don't talk, Ian. It's me. Don't welcome back. I welcome them back this time. I'm Matt, and this is Don't Talk.
Ian.
Oh, okay. And we're back for another Malazan video, the fourth video in House of Chains. We are trying to get right to the point. So if you're back for this is your first time, then welcome back. If this is your first time, welcome to part 4 of House of Chains. Yeah. So yeah, Ian, let's just jump in. Let's jump in.
Okay. So, usually we do a bunch of different stuff. We're just trying to cut to the chase because we're going to talk about all the fun stuff anyway. But just again, as a reminder for those that are joining us, basically part 3, we're setting up for the big battle. Part 4, all chaos breaks loose. Big battle, resolutions across the board. So much awesomeness. And the resolution of this book as a whole. So, Matt, where do you want to start?
We did it. It only took us 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna let you. Where do you want to start? We're trying some new things. So I guess let me preface this by saying the reason why we're trying some new things is I'm taking a very, very long trip early tomorrow morning, and so we are just trying as much as we could go into, and we probably still will, long details about this part because there's a lot happens. We're trying to be a little bit more concise just so I can have a little more time to pack and get some more sleep and all of that. So we're going to try and stick maybe more generally to arcs and not get into the nitty gritty as much, but we'll see. We'll see how we do.
Yeah, and with that being said, there will be videos coming out. I'll be doing some videos. Matt's already recorded some videos, so there will be stuff going out to the channel over this kind of a channel break, if we want to call it that. But we usually take like about a month off after we do each Malazan book. So this isn't that atypical for us as far as our pacing goes. So you might see the barf review a little bit later than we normally would do it. But again, everything's going to be pretty normal for us. It's just kind of a period of the year where we take, it's sort of a period of the year where Matt's taking a break, but we always tend to take a break after the book anyway. So yeah.
I did think it might be fun not to take up more time, but if to start, because this is the final, we're done with the book.
Final sub book. Book's done.
Final sub book. We are done with House of Chains. So I kind of wanted to show you the art on the edition I have, and we can talk about because I think almost all the scenes have happened now. But I am actually curious. So here's the cover. Let's see if I can. This is the scene that I am like maybe the least confident on of like who all these people are. Like part of me is like, oh, that seems like it's like, oh, you know what it is, maybe?
Seems like the fight on the island.
Yes, dude, I just thought about that. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's Drift of Ali.
Yeah.
And so is that Cotillion, you think, coming in?
Yeah, I think so. Because he's the rope, right?
That was what was confusing me. I was like, it's like it could be Callum. He looks like an assassin, but what are those ropes? And I was like, wait, are they like the chains on Karsa? But that does not look like Karsa. But yeah, that makes a whole lot more sense. So are these the Edor?
Yep. Yeah, the white hair.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Then we've got this bad boy. A little darker, but...
Ooh, that looks more like Karsa.
That's Karsa, yeah. When he was down in the pits with the log. He's chained up to the log, which is really sweet.
That's awesome.
Then we've got... Here's another little Karsa on the side.
Yeah. Well, he's not little.
Yeah.
He's a bit littler.
To this, yeah. We've got Pearl and Lestariel finding the
dragon,
crucified Tatarel dragon.
Which again, there's still so many questions on that one now that we have seen Osiric and another soul taken.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to double check. Is it soul taken? Because in the book they always pronounce it soul Tarkin.
It's soul taken. Unless like it's just one of those words that my mind every time I've read it has played a trick on me, but I'm pretty sure it's soul taken.
Yeah, it says soul taken. Yeah. In
Who are
the
these
book they
audiobook
pronounce it.
narrators?
Sometimes they say Soul Tarkin, and sometimes they say like Sola Talkin or something like that.
What?
I don't know how to say. Yeah.
It sounds like they got like the like Google when it can read out your
Yeah.
sentences. They got it to do that because like what Soul Tarkin?
Okay, yeah. That's what I'm just like. I'm
That's
serious. Like it's.
hilarious. The
I
most
was like, I'm
low
pretty sure
effort
it's Soul
audiobook.
Taken.
All right, and then the final piece.
Oh.
And look, you can see in the reflection of the helmet,
Yeah.
you can see Tavor, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So this was the first book when I started House of Chains. Or, sorry, not House of Chains. Memories of Ice. I had like when these came in, I had already looked at them, but this one I was like, I'm not gonna look. I'm gonna take the cover off and replace it with my little like slip cover, and intentionally not look. And I'm so glad I didn't look because holy spoiler, like they do put it at the very end of the book, but like damn, that would have been a big spoiler. So I'm really glad that I didn't check. But man, that piece is so good. All of them
is
are
really good.
great.
Yeah. On the there's two trade paperbacks. One of the images they use for the Audible, and then the other one I have on my copy, which is in my backpack somewhere over there. But in both of the images, they have like the 7 dogs, which we now know what those are, which is pretty cool. And so we were always like, "What the hell are these hounds?" But now we know that those actually are symbolic of the 7 cities. And so that was kind of cool of a way to like now to like paint the imagery of the 7 cities. Just use the 7 hounds of darkness.
Yeah,
That's cool.
it's super cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, yeah, I just wanted to do that in case anyone doesn't own those and they want to just see those and then tune out. They get to see some cool Malazan art. I'm sure fans have just seen them around, but I wanted to show you so you could see what they look like. But yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah. I also did look up some fan art of some of the creatures.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The gray frog is really fun.
Oh, what's the I want to see the double dick demon.
Oh my gosh.
What is it?
Are you gonna you type that into your
Yeah,
searches.
exactly.
I'm
Let me
not
just
typing
Google
that
it
into
really
searches.
quick. I'm sure we'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, safe search. But yeah,
Okay.
let's dive in. Yeah,
Okay. So I had a thought on the starting point.
yeah.
I want to see what you think about this. So there was something that really caught my attention. There were several things I did, but one of them I thought was kind of cool was a starting point. Do you remember in this story when Gamut and the other two, Blistall and not Canab, Blistall and Blistig, sorry, Tenebraltar, they're arguing, and Gamut uses this phrase. He says, "We are not 3, we are 2 plus 1."
I don't.
And then, okay, so this is after Gamut. He falls from his horse. He gets wounded. So we'll talk about these things. But Gamut, basically, Blistig is like, "You need to get back in this fight." And he says, "Hey, look, we are not 3, so don't come to me with your problems. We are 2 plus 1."
With himself being the one, Gamut's like, "I'm not like you. You two, yeah."
Yep. Yeah. So what I thought was kind of cool was that on Tavor's side with the Malazans, you have this triumvirate. You've got these 3 fists. And that's when Gamut's saying, like, "Oh, no, we are 2 plus 1," because he is currently not an acting fist. But on the other side, with the rebellion, with the members of the Whirlwind, there's also a similar structure if we exclude Lorik. Because you have Corbeil Dom.
Yep.
You have
Febril.
How do you pronounce Febril.
Yep.
And you have Bidithal.
Yep.
Where Bidithal is not in their treacherous union. And so he's also 2 plus 1.
Yeah.
So I thought it might be kind of fun. We could, I think, kind of start off with talking about what's going on with Corbeil Dom, Febril, and Bidithal in their sort of treacherous union leading to this convergence. And then we can kind of talk about like what's kind of going on the other side, and then we'll just sort of unravel from there.
Yeah. That sounds good to me.
Okay. So I guess we probably should just start with Bidithal in particular. So a couple of things we do know about Bidithal, which have been pretty exciting up to this point, or at least interesting. Maybe exciting is not the right word. But we know that Bidithal was the high priest of he was almost like Israel Pust in a way, but he's a high priest of Shadow, but kind of like a Shadow predating Cotillion and Kellanved. And now has been sort of working towards this grand design of reforming from the ashes and let's just say streets of this rebellion a new cult following because his old House of Shadow. And we got to see the horror of what that looks like, where he's going through and finding all of these orphan daughters of the desert, and he is basically just we'll say branding for would be
Mutilating,
a little
yeah.
bit more mutilating these women, like horribly so, in order to kind of convert them to his will. And he's messing with their minds and things like this.
He's like trying to like remove like basically like their pleasure
Yep.
senses in general. Like they
Yep.
don't feel
Yep.
pleasure.
Yeah, and so just like sort of numbing them in their entirety all the way to their soul, and that's kind of his like intent, like to sort of break them through this process. And so the one of the last things we saw was he did this to Felison the Younger, who ends up cowering into the Oasis, and we saw that from our last book. And so, but there was kind of an important point that Felison brought up in the last sub book, which was that she didn't want to see Bedethal be killed, even though he had done this horrible thing, because he was probably the only person that could help Shaik, Felison the Elder, to be able to ward off the treacherous union of both Febril and Corbelow Dom. However, we don't like Bidethal, and Bidethal is as treacherous as the rest of them. So it's always been kind of clear that he's not really someone to be trusted. He may be able to help undermine Corbelow Dom and Febril, but he would also have to be dealt with as well, right? And so effectively what's now happening is he's kind of weaving together his cult of shadow. He's bringing together his many minions of shadow and casting them all about the camp. And he's stalking the Shaik, and he's stalking Febril, and he's stalking Corbelow Dom. He's trying to stalk Lorik. He's trying to stalk Heberic. And he's trying to cast his spies everywhere he possibly can. And so one of the key scenes that we come across is the Shaik has been having these interactions with each of the three members of the Treacherous Union. Kind of basically like a little bit of a nod, wink, wink, like, I know what the hell you're up to.
Yeah.
And so she has her sort of fateful union with Bidethal, who has several revelations for her. And we'll kind of get to talk about how this revelation is compounding upon many others that foretell doom for the Shaik's horde. But one of the big revelations is he's actually the one that tells Shaik that that Heberic has joined Treach. And she is like not having it, right? She's like, no. He, like, if you knew the guy, like, he would never become a priest again. Or, I mean, if that's even the case, like, if Treach knows the guy, he wouldn't want him to be the priest, right? But of course, we know that that is the case, that Heberic has actually become the destriant of Treach. And this is kind of one of the themes I had touched on. I think used it in the second or third video we did. But it kind of, again, kind of speaks to this idea of knowledge. Like, some people just have this sort of like mystical knowledge of like things that are going on. And we see that very much with Bidethal, because he hasn't actually been able to get his shadows like into the tent of Heberic. But yet he knows these things anyway. And so it's you know, some of these characters just sort of have this like mystical knowledge of what's going on. And then at that point, she basically commands Bidethal, like, stop stalking Lorik, stop stalking Heberic, focus your attentions on Febril and Corbelow Dom, right? Acknowledging for us that she knows that they're dangerous, right? And that they're potentially planning something. Even though at this point we are like literally on the eve of the major battle, right? Like, we're within a few days of the major battle that they're all planning for. But of course, Bidethal is like, hell no. You know, I'm going to continue to do this because I have my own plans for what's going to happen. He's going to form this cult.
It's like schemes on schemes
Yeah,
on
scheme.
schemes. It's like
Yeah.
it was a little hard to keep track of like who's. At one point, I was just like, everybody's betraying everybody. Like,
Exactly.
I don't really need to know who's loyal, because the answer is pretty much nobody.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Don't trust anybody. Everybody's lying. Everybody's scheming. Everybody wants to kill everybody.
Yep.
And I mean, the whole like rock, paper, scissors plot is kind of hilarious, where Corbelow Dom is like, I'm going to work with Febril, and then he's going to kill the Shaik, and I'm going to then try to deliver her. It's like I'm going to deliver the Shaik into Devor to join the Empire,
Yeah.
but I can't have her live, so I'm going to try to get Febril to kill her, and then I'll kill Febril, thus cementing myself as a hero.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the way, we deal with Bidethal.
No.
I kill the Empress. I take over the Empire. I'm the coolest person ever,
Yeah,
and
like,
everything goes my
bro,
way.
someone needs to sit this guy down and be like, feels a little ambitious, my guy. Like, that's a lot of things, tough things that need to go right.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
speaking of Febrile, how do
Mhm.
you? I found myself continually feeling like he was extremely undercooked in this book.
Yeah.
I like every once in a while his name would show up. I'm like, oh yeah, he's the third one. Like,
Yeah. He really was. There are two things that I would have really liked to see more of. I know his book is like already like 1,000 or like 1,100 pages or something crazy like that. But there are two things I would have liked to see. I would have liked to see Febrile in the foreground more well developed. We don't really have too much of him. I think he is undercooked. I would have liked to see more of Corbeil Dom's background flushed out. And that there was kind of like opposites because we got some insight into Febrile's background, just a little bit.
yeah,
But
which was
it's
good.
really cool. It
Yeah,
was really cool. And so we learned that Febrile was the like he was sort of a astute student of magic for a pretty like well-to-do sorcerer, and that he was quite brilliant in of his own right. But then, sort of like in this sort of night of either accident or ambitious fury, ended up killing every one of his household, the that sorcerer who trained them, and many others.
well, I think what was
And
happening was like,
mm,
because I can't remember exactly who went, but with the cult where Lestar Yil was from,
that's Bedethal's cult. Yeah.
Bidethal's cult, in like the
Yeah.
Malazans came to
Hmm.
when they were kind of taking over seven cities, and I think something similar was happening with Febriles, and his teacher was like, "We have to burn all the knowledge. We have to burn it so
Yeah.
they can't have it."
So
Right?
so Febrile was at was it originally Aaron that was attacked? But anyway, the
It was
do you
some,
remember
no, it wasn't Aaron. It was
there
oh
was this
gosh.
not Aaron from a Dead House no Gates, but there was the city where Lysine ordered the Talani Moss to massacre
Oh yeah,
the
that
entire city.
that was Aaron.
That's
Yeah.
the city he's from.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and that was the night that this like event happened. I'm pretty sure.
I thought
I
I
mean, it
do
would
have
be
it written down
okay.
here. It was the
Yeah.
holy city of Ugarat.
Okay, it's Ugarat.
Ugarat. Yeah.
I thought they were like the Talani Moss because I thought there was like a reference to the
They
Talani
do start
Moss.
talking about Talani Moss and
Moss.
Aaron there as well. But
Okay.
I think it was somewhere separate. But I think he complied with the teacher,
Yeah.
basically saying we have to burn all their knowledge. It's better burned and gone than them
Mhm.
having it. And I think his parents were like, "How could you do that to our culture?" And then
Mhm.
basically, and then he kills them for it. He like
Yep.
freaks out and kills them.
Yeah.
Um, which is yeah, it is I think he feels a lot of
Mhm.
shame in that
Mhm.
moment of realizing like I did it just because he told me to, kind of thing, and like
Yeah.
it probably wasn't right. And but instead of
Mhm.
accepting that, he kills them.
Yeah. Well, the one of the things that's like kind of crazy about it, I don't know how, yeah, I'll have to go back and reread that part because I don't remember what the transition was with Talani Moss specifically, but he kind of like he kind of analogizes it, I guess, to that.
Yeah,
But what was kind of crazy was just like the extreme extent, like that when I talk about like that fury, the extreme to extent to which he unleashed his Warren, like sucked from him all of his life strength.
hmm,
So he's actually a young person, but he has the appearance and frailty of an old individual because it was so physically taxing on his body that it completely made him like frail.
yeah,
Right? He's elderly, his bones are weak, his muscles are weak. And so basically the only thing it left him with was like a young mind.
yeah.
Everything else. And it's
So
just like that's like crazy.
it is really crazy. I would say like
Hmm.
with him, like I think all of that's awesome, and like,
Hmm.
but you're right. It's like maybe a page. And I
Yeah.
wish we had a lot more. And
Mhm.
there is a part of me that's like, even now, I'm still, I'm like forgetting like, what were his motivations here with working with Dom, and like,
Mhm.
what's he getting out of all this? I don't really remember what
He
he's like
he
planning.
seeks. So we don't get too much into it because I don't know if he explicitly states it, but my thought was that he seeks the Warren. He wants the same thing that Drishna and
Oh, okay. So
Raroku
he
like
wants like
want.
that much. He wants like that much
You know,
power.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I just and maybe it's just because there's so much happening, but I never really felt like that was super clear to
No,
me.
I don't think it is really that clear. I think it's more of that he's like a high mage, he seeks power, and he has all this knowledge on like Rauraku and Drishna,
Yeah.
and so there's this ambition, but he needs the rest of this to be cleared away so that way he can go. But that was my thought was like he needs in order for him to get to the Shattered Warren of what is it, Erlane, he
Something like
needs
that.
to
Yeah. Emerlin.
kill the Immerlin, yeah, he needs to kill Drishna because she's currently holding that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why he like needs this all to happen so that way then he can kill Shaik and then ultimately take down Drishna and then be able to claim that for himself. That was my thought was like that's probably what he's after.
Mm.
Yep.
That's like a compelling story. I mean, I
Yep.
guess I agree. Like there is already 1,000 pages, but for someone that it feels like I'm maybe supposed to care a little bit more. Like even like his death scene, I was just like, okay, like Fable's dead, like cool. It just felt very like, uh, part of me thinks like what. Like, if we took Dom out of the picture, if we took Bidethal out of the picture, this book drastically changes. If we take Febrile out of the picture, does it? Does it really?
No,
I just
no,
don't
I
know if
don't
it
think it really
does.
does.
Um,
No, because I think you still have basically all the same conflicts and all the same treachery. You just have Corbulo Dom and Bidethal and kind of like the will they won't they of betrayal.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
He's just kind of like a middleman, going back
Yep.
and forth. But and another one, speaking of F words, Fael. I was like, oh yeah, Fael like shows up some point. I'm like, oh
Yep.
yeah, she's or he. I don't even know. She? I think it's a
Mhm.
she.
She.
Yeah, like exists.
Hmm.
Just like kind of forgot about her. So her
Yeah.
and Febrile and Feo, their names would just pop up here and there. I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, I guess
Yeah.
these are people I remember. So I would say like I kind of wish there was a little bit more of that. I don't know why I decided to get into that, but I was just curious to see if it was just
Hmm.
like a me thing, missing stuff. But
Yeah.
um, since he
No,
was
but I think you're right.
one of the main three, people we met
Yep.
him in Dead. So these are the three. I guess we never talked about, but these are the three we met in Dead House, right? When Felison becomes Shaik Reborn, she goes there, and there's these three mages. Are
Well,
those Bidethal?
she meets four people,
Oh yeah,
and
okay.
so you're right. So she got Corbulo Dom. Oh, no, she meets five. Sorry, she has Corbulo Dom. Then was it the betrayer, the priest who betrayed? I'm trying to mix up his syllables. What is it?
Chemist
Rello?
Relo.
Chemist Rello, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I like was getting the M and the K mixed up in my mind. But Rello, and then she meets the three mages, and the three mages are Bidethal,
Mm-hmm.
Febrile, and
Mm-hmm.
Lorik.
And Lorik.
Right, but then we
Oh
find out that Lorik
yeah,
is more, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
hmm
feel like I'm really I know we'll get back in
yeah,
House of Chains, but I am just really more interested because I remember when I was reading that I was like, wow, this is a lot of information in Dead House Gates. These I just have no idea how important these people are. And now
hmm
then we skip a whole book, and now it's
hmm
like there's a part of me that wishes I knew going into this book how
hmm
important or how major of players all of these guys were going to be. Because like when we
hmm
first hear their names, I'm like, oh yeah, these are the three guys. These are the guys.
hmm
These are the guys, and it's just like no, these are like major players in this book.
yeah,
Well, other than Febrile, but
yeah.
Bidethal and stuff. But
Yeah, I do think you could ultimately cut out Febrile. I mean, maybe something else happens, but even at that point, like it could have just been like Corbulo Dom with these two individuals, right? And that could have been. Then you have Rello, like his like supporting Corbulo Dom, and probably would have been just fine.
yeah, it would have been fine. I don't,
Yeah.
I'm not mad he's in there or anything. Like
Mhm.
I really liked his backstory and all
Mhm.
that. I just with so much going on, I found myself being like, who?
Yeah.
Sometimes. um, but yeah, I think for me, man, I'm torn between like Bidethal and Dom being like the star of like the bad guys for me.
Mhm.
But it's probably Bidethal. It's probably Bidethal. Bidethal. I
Mhm.
don't know. Honestly, they're both like. I think they both share the page really well, and have
Mhm.
very different motivations. And I enjoyed reading both of them a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. I think it is. I think it is tough. But I yeah, I really like the respective roles. Like I think it would have been weird for Bitterfall to be the one that kind of like kicks off the chaos, so to
Hmm.
speak. because like the fact that you've got like Corbolo Dom, who's like planning out this treachery and how he's gonna sort of give away Shaikh's army, and then having to like in a panic like order the assassins to go after everybody. I think that just like that kickoff event, and then everything that happens after that, it's just like it really works with his character, and then the confrontation makes it super cool. So I love like yeah having both of them felt great like
Mm-hmm.
for the ultimate story. And so but yeah, Febrile is just kind of there,
Yeah.
whereas each of them have this really cool arc that's going on with each of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which actually, kind of on that point, there is another kind of there's a book of symmetries, but so Bidithal ultimately we see his interaction with Febrile. There's at least that, I guess, where Febrile is like, now is the time to decide, and of course Bidithal is like, can I just like decide later? He's like, no, like you got to decide now. I
Yeah.
need to know now, and so we do get this kind of moment that's interesting where Febrile has like planned out this encounter. So we do kind of see like how powerful Febrile is through the eyes of Bidithal, where Bidithal has these like shadows that he's been stalking people with, but he also has them stalking him as bodyguards. And so then when he encounters Febrile, he has his own and Febrile's, the ones that have been stalking Febrile, all there. And they're basically like shriveling
Yeah.
in
Febrile,
Febrile's presence.
he's just shrugging. He's like,
Yeah.
I do not care about these guys. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Bithal becomes aware of this, and he's like, "Well, I don't think I can decline what's being offered to me because I
Yeah.
think I'll be dead."
Yeah, exactly. He has the thought
Yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah. If I would have said no, I would be dead right now. I wouldn't have walked away from that conversation.
yeah,
So, yeah, which
yeah.
is pretty crazy.
So, which is not to say, like, again, it would have been cool to learn more about Febrile or for him to take a more relevant place, but like, we do recognize that he is a very powerful mage,
Yeah.
right, and definitely someone to be feared. And so now ultimately what's decided is that we don't know if Bidithal will ultimately assist them, but he's not going to stop them. That's essentially what's decided. If he leaves them alone, they'll leave him alone to do whatever he wants.
Hmm.
And what he wants becomes increasingly more interesting. We've been hinting at this for a while now, it feels like, but it's kind of coming to this revelation where he's not working for himself. It seems like he's been this entire time, but actually he's been laying down pieces and ultimately has his own master that he serves, which has kind of been again one of these over. I mean, it's called House of Chains for a reason, but we've been seeing these themes.
You talking
But
about Bithal?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Bidithal, he's been serving this other
Hmm.
master. Now, again, symmetry. So Bidithal is setting this, not to confuse things even more, but Bidithal is setting these shades to go stalk people, and then on the other hand, you've got Corbelo Dom, who stands again as kind of the other pillar, who's been sending talons. Right? We know we found out he's master of talons. This is
Yep.
now confirmed, and so he's been sending talons to go stalk everybody. And
Yep.
so, literally everybody
And
who's
there's just
important
also
walk around this camp.
ghosts
Yeah,
around
yeah.
as
Well,
well,
yeah.
hanging out. Yeah.
So I love this idea of like you've got this like person like walking down the street who's like super important, and then there's just like shadows like darting from like one stand to the other, and there's just like talons like hanging out in the background, and so everybody's just having all these people stalk them
Hmm.
everywhere they go, and then both essentially for similar reasons to gather information, and because nobody can trust anybody, everybody's betraying everybody. Like literally in the conversation that Bidithal has with Febrile, he's like, he made this promise to me, which was a lie, and I made this promise to him in return, which it was a lie.
Yeah.
It's just like,
It's
no,
like they
there's
all know,
no,
yeah, they're all
yeah,
betraying each other, and they all know that they're betraying each other,
yeah,
and it's just one of those like, yeah, it just creates a lot of tension, which was
mhm,
great.
yeah.
Um,
And so you've got Corbelo Dom kind of setting these assassins out, and again, Febrile, we don't really, again, kind of this is where he sort of shrinks into the dark, not really doing much at this time that we're aware of. But the significance of these things that are happening in the story at this time is that they're all effectively trying to prepare for this inevitable clash between the two sides in order to ensure that their particular treachery comes to fruition. That at the end of this, Febrile wants to come out on top with Drishna and Shaikh dead. Corbelo Dom wants to come out on top as the hero of the Malazans.
mhm.
And Bidithal wants to come out on top with a newly revived temple
Hmm.
with his own cult of broken individuals, right? Which will effectively, I mean, for for I would suppose I guess I don't remember the magi was the term. Will essentially cement him as the magi slash destriant of the house of chains,
Yeah,
and that's
I think he
ultimately
calls himself the high priest.
yep.
High priest. Yeah.
Yep. And so that he wants to cement himself as a member of the House of Chains, working for the crippled god, which, considering what he's doing to people and how he takes, for example, the slave master, still, was it like
Sogar.
Silgar? I didn't want to say Stilgar because that's the guy from Dune, but Silgar into his employ. Again, this is all pretty indicative of the House of Chains and specifically the crippled god. And so that's kind of what we're seeing in terms of the stage being set on this end, which is really cool, right? I mean, because we can kind of see like the looming battle, but we're just like waiting for the shit to hit the fan,
Yep.
right? Because we just know as soon as the battle gets close, like everything's just going to go to hell. Now, I had mentioned earlier that there was this revelation from Bidethal about Hebrick, and I had said that that was like one of the compounding revelations. There was actually a really, really important revelation that had come to the Shaikh earlier from some of her personal guard. She took on personal guard after Leo Men had left and after Toblakai had left, because those were her personal guard members. So she took on a new guard. And these people have pretty extensive experience as soldiers and also fighting against Malazans. And they had a really interesting revelation, which provided a lot of context for prior books. So this is instigated by Lorik, who kind of comes and says, hey, look, I have a real concern about our ability to beat the Malazans because we can only fight with hot iron. She's like, well, what do you mean by hot iron? And so one of the members of personal guard, I think is it Mathik. Yeah, because he ends up being entrusted with the Book of Drishna and then taking it to Leomin later. But he kind of explains this concept, which is really cool because we had the Book of Cold Iron, and then we also have, back when the army of the adjutant started marching, you have Fiddler talk about cold iron. This whole like whisper of cold iron goes through the crowd. And they're like, cold iron it is, right? We don't really know what that means up until now, but there's this idea that when armies fight, soldiers fight with either hot iron or cold iron, and that's not a description of their weapons, it's a description of their own personal temper, right? And so if they fight with hot iron, they fight with anger, with fury, with vengeance, with heated emotions and passions. And so Drishna is like the sort of example of this, right? Just this all-consuming vengeance. This is hot iron.
Consumed by hatred, yeah.
Yep. And we see that with the Shaikh as well, right? The she fights with a similar vengeance. But then they said that generally, in almost all conflicts, when cold iron meets hot iron, cold iron wins. And
which becomes a problem real fast for her because she's been remembering her childhood with Tavor. Like, basically, like there's like a famous old battle that as a kid she set up and replayed, countless times to see if she could figure out how to win it. And basically in that moment she's like, shit. They're cold iron. They're cold iron. And so she
just knows it.
Yeah,
she just knows it. And then she's like, "Well, is there anybody in our camp who's cold iron?" And they're like, "Yeah, there's only two, Leomin and Tovlakai."
Yeah, and I love that Tovlakai is both. They say that he can be either, which is really fun. Yeah, because that's very true. Very true.
And so she just kind of knows, and there's that moment where she's like realizes how in danger they are.
Yeah.
And this revelation is really important because this is actually then what's going to spark that eventual chaos. Because now that she knows that Leomin is cold iron, she sends for Leomin and is going to entrust all of the dog slayers in the entire army, the forces of the desert, to Leomin over Corbeil Dam. And he comes to find this out. And now with his assassins, who are basically watching everybody, and the night before the big battle, he calls it in. He knows Leomin's coming back, and so he calls for his assassins to start to get to work. And it's unplanned, it's too early, and with Bidethal's shadows, Bidethal also becomes aware of this event as well, and all hell breaks loose across the camp. Okay? Now, not only for that reason, but also for They called the convergence for a reason,
yeah.
right?
Many other things going on.
Yeah. Yep.
So I had a question.
Mm-hmm.
I am jumping ahead here, but
Yep.
there's a scene where Corballo Dom gathers his assassins. There's 11 of them,
Yep.
and gives them all tasks.
Mm-hmm.
The assassins that show up to kill Drishna, are those his?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so that's what I thought. I was like, are these just like, because we never really find out what all their assignments are, except for like the two to guard him, basically.
Yep.
So like his plan was to send them into that warren to kill
Mm-hmm.
a goddess.
Yes, I think that was either where. So it seemed like no, it didn't seem like it was explicitly stated that Rello, Gamist Rello, is the one that got them there.
Mm. Okay. Yeah,
And
like in
so
through to travel through the warrens or whatever.
yeah, so
Whatnot.
if you remember, there's a scene where, because I think this is the, I mean, because I don't think things are told chronologically.
Mm.
So there's a scene where, um, you know, Column is able to sneak into the camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't really talked about how he adds into the chaos of the convergence, but he's able to sneak in the camp. And do you remember when he gets his eyes on Corbelo's Dom's tent? He's like waiting, and then he sees a portal open, and then Camus Rello comes out, and he says he looks exhausted, but with a satisfied grin on his face. I
So
think
that's
that's
that
why.
moment. Yeah, he
I
had
think
sent
that's
them
why
through.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nice.
And so I think that's why that was the case. And so Camus Rello, which again kind of opens up this idea of like where Febrile fits in and all of this. And I think, probably again having Febrile around helps with this.
Yeah. Well, so I'm
In terms
also
of
wondering like the reasons why Dom would want to kill the goddess, I'm assuming are twofold, right? One, I think he takes away some of the power of Febrile maybe.
I don't know about that. I think what it does is it destroys the whirlwind. So now the whirlwind that's blocking the camp
Cool.
is gone.
Yeah.
But he doesn't actually need to deliver, like, he doesn't need to kill the Shaikh and then deliver her. He can kill the whirlwind and then deliver the Shaikh, who would be defenseless
I
with the
see. So it's just
whirlwind
to help them
head.
get in through the wall. Okay,
Right.
that was the other
And
reason
then
why I
for him
was
to
thinking is
deliver.
like because the goddess would have protected Shaik. Like,
Yes.
so if you kill the goddess, then that makes the Shaik vulnerable.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he can deliver and be the hero. Like, I killed the goddess.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is for you. Yep. Here you go. I've delivered the Shaikh to your door.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Malazans, presumably could, put her to trial, execute her, right, or take her back to Lucine or whatever. But he could kind of be the hero.
Yeah. Which
Yep.
arguably, like, maybe could have been a better resolution for Felison and Tavor, maybe. I mean,
right. Oh man, that resolution is
it's crazy.
We'll get to that.
Yeah,
It's
we'll get to that.
heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that's just kind of like where the stage is being set on this side. So now we have this idea of hot iron, cold iron. Leoman is coming back. We're going to talk about him, and then Corbeil Dom knows that if Leoman is able to make it back for the day of the battle, that there will be an order that's been issued across the camp for all of the forces to go with Leoman. He would have to directly contradict the Shaikh. It kind of unravels things. So he decides, okay, no, we're gonna trigger this early, right? We're gonna put the plans into motion ahead of time. Let's begin the assassinations, begin the takeover, the coup d'état, and then we'll deliver Shaikh to Tavor first thing in the morning, right before Leoman can even get here. And then this kicks off the chaos, and it all might have gone really well, except for some pesky kids and some ghosts.
Yep.
Yep. Now on the other end, we have this similar triumvirate with the adjuncts forces. Although there's certainly a lot less to talk about. We've got we've got Blistic and we've got Tenebralta, and we have Gamut. Now Leoman has been gone, and he was strictly ordered not to engage with Malazans. He was told that he should just be spying, but naturally that's not what he's going to do. Mm-hmm. And so him and it's
Korab?
Is it Korab? Korab. Yeah, him and Korab are basically he's the second command. They are working together to lead
in this part. Yeah.
Yep. Pretty cool character,
but great
though.
Character. Yeah, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
First, I was like, okay, they were just slotting in a new guy here, but by the end, I was like, I like this guy. I like this guy.
Yep. And so Leomin and the Kebab, Leomin and Korab, they are basically going to work together, and they're of equal mind. They both are aware that the Sheikh's orders, but they're like, no, 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 we cannot let these individuals just stampede through our desert. And so they command a significant force, not a massive force, but a significant force, and they begin harassing the lines, which should not have that significant of effect, except that, as we've been told again and again and again, there are many officers throughout the companies of the Malazans who are noble born and are quite incompetent in terms of how they construct their forces. And so these mistakes keep happening with the Malazan forces. And if it wasn't for other officers with more experience or other sergeants with more experience kind of reining in the forces, they actually could have potentially done more damage. And so so Leo Min and Korab are able to actually harass and kill many Malazan soldiers through these daily and nightly raids, but they're never able to actually get to the supply lines, which is what they really want to do, because those are a little bit more central, and that's usually when cooler heads prevail in terms of protecting. Now, at this point, right, they know about these raids, and so the FIS, as well as Tavor, mostly Tavor actually kind of instigates this. They come up with this grand idea that that they're going to use an old trick, because as we've learned from the Shaikh's memories, Tavor is a astute student of previous tactics, and they're going to set a trap for
Operation
these
Bird Shit Scorpion.
Operation Bird Shit Scorpion. Yeah. The whole thing with the scorpions is so like
It was weird, but like I loved it.
Yeah.
It was like clearly there to get you as the reader to understand what the tactics were going to be, but also like Fiddler, it just was really fun. It was like him also showing them like, oh, I know what we're doing. You know, I know exactly how this thing works, and then it splits. He's just like, that's what we're going to do tonight. It just was like, oh, that was cool. Like, and just like the fact that, Gessler and I'm trying to think of who else, Baruch and everything. They're like, because I think he picked last. Fiddler picked the Scorpion last, and they're like, I want that one. I want that one. And Fiddler's like, all right, I'll take the Bird Shit Scorpion. And they're like, they're doing inspections and shit, and they're like, I don't know what it is, but I feel like I'm about to lose all my money.
Yeah,
and Fiddler's
that
just
was
like,
Gessler.
I don't know. And then of course it rocks.
He told them they all of them have to inspect the scorpion and then swear.
Yeah.
Like they have to make a swear that like they've inspected it. There's nothing wrong. They will accept the outcome.
Yep.
And then I think it was Stormy is like after he loses, you just like you.
Exactly.
Like Gessler's like, no, Stormy, you swore. We all swore.
It's such a good scene. Like at first I was like, wow, we're gonna do this like scorpion battle, like pit battle thing. Like what? This is really weird, but I really loved it. It was, and I think for me, especially with previous battles and previous books, where I'm like, what's happening? Like this one, when the battle happened, we don't really necessarily get that. We don't like the whole battle. We don't get shown the split or anything. But we just know that it happens because they tell us that that's the tactic they're going to use, and so I really enjoyed that.
There's also kind of a fun little element where like it splits into two to go kill the other two scorpions, which is like insanely ruthless in terms of how it does that. It's like very, very precise. And you have like two heads for this marauding party. You have Leomin and Korab, but notably neither of them actually do die in the conflict.
Somehow.
And so it's like somehow
Korab does like the
it didn't work.
we were talking about I know it's him diving, he puts the helmet over it and it like launches him up, but all I could think of was freaking the Andrew Garfield where he slaps the grenade.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, it's that. Yeah, it's Hacksaw Ridge. But I love that he does that, survives, and even like the munition people are like, what the hell? Like they watch it too. They just see him like a boom. And then just run off, and they're like, "What? No freaking way!" It was great.
Yeah, it's so good. But like I mean, basically, and it's kind of a great thing too. Like the whole scene is kind of really cool in terms of like the whole cold iron versus hot iron and Leomin, because Leomin just like he doesn't want to actually go on the night raid that night. He's like something's wrong. But Korab is like, how? But like, look, it's like we finally have a moment to get at the supply lines. Like, how can we pass this up? They're being so stupid.
And they had just killed all the like pretty much all the SETI people. So they're feeling Korab's feeling good.
Yep. And so naturally they do attack, and then that's when the trap is sprung, and then all the sapper munitions start coming into play, and and all
We got the
hell breaks
underground,
loose.
the buried again, which was fun to
Yep.
see that
Yeah.
come back up again. The
Yeah.
tactics come back up.
Yeah. And also there was other like kind of cool elements. Like for example, they couldn't see the horses, like the Kerel horses. And so they were like, well, those riders typically ride heavy. So like we can't see them. So that means like that they're out of the picture. But then they do come riding in and they have no armor on. They're riding light.
Yeah.
And he's like, and they're like, holy crap, like what, why did they think to do that? Right. It's just like, well, because the whole, they like planned it all, right?
Yep.
Like in terms of their ambush, they had really like used what they knew about themselves to then appropriately lay this trap. And I just thought that was really cool.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it was, but yeah, so they get Kanab on his backside. Because again, it's like all hell breaking loose, like ambushing, splitting, attacking from all sides. And then eventually Korab like gets knocked over, and then I think it was Cuddle was like, "Oh, this will be funny." Rather than like killing the guy, let me just toss a grenade in his lap and say peace.
Yeah.
And then like that's like such a classic thing is like, of course the sapper is like, oh, it'd be hilarious. Like watch when this guy wakes up and he realizes he's got a grenade in his lap.
Yeah.
And then Fiddler's just like, why did you stab him? And he's like, well, I guess something better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fiddler's just like,
yeah.
Why?
Yep. You gotta do it. You
and
gotta
then
use the munitions. The real
and then
star of
there's-
Malazan.
Yeah. And then there's the helmet grab and then the pop up in the air.
Yeah,
And
that
it's
was
just like
great.
fine.
Yep. And then everything's going great. It's all going great till Gamut screws it up.
Yeah. And so
Not to his,
and so that's-
it speaks to his character a lot. Like he's like, I'm going in with my men, and we really.
I mean, it's a
shouldn't be.
really cool scene. Yeah, I mean, it
yeah.
is like it's a really cool scene, and notably that's also on the other side. So like Corbel Dom and Korab gets split, right? And so that's on the Corbel Dom side, I believe.
Wait,
where he's like,
uh,
not Corbel Dom. Who am I saying?
yeah.
Leoman.
Okay,
It's all,
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
Leoman and Korab get like split, right?
Yep.
And I think that's like on the Leoman side. But yeah, he's like, I'm going with my soldiers, and he's going to charge in. And then as he charges in, his horse just like takes the hits. He collapses over, and then all of his soldiers have to, like his soldiers with him, like they have to rush to his aid to rescue from that scene. And it actually kind of turns the tide a little bit.
Yeah.
But then the Malazans are able to muster after the cavalry come in.
Yeah, but
and
a lot of them
ultimately
die
able to
unnecessarily saving Gamut.
unnecessarily. Yep.
He gets a nice little lecture about that.
Yeah. Well, and like, but it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, he has a lot riding on him because he doesn't feel like it's kind of how he
got
explains it. He
imposter
doesn't
syndrome.
feel, he doesn't feel like he should be a fist. He doesn't feel like he's earned it. And the only thing he ever knew was like the life as a soldier. Also, if you remember way back, we do know why Gamut became a house guard, which is that notably he was a soldier in the Malazan army, and he had been injured in the line of duty and was sent back to recuperate since he was no use anymore, and then ultimately left the army and became a house guard. And so that's kind of what got him there. And so he was sort of seen as a hero for this injury. So you can kind of see all that playing out, right? Like he's a soldier, he fights along his fellow men, he gets injured, he gets to go back home. That makes him feel like a little bit of an imposter. He's being recognized as a hero, but he just feels like he's a guy that got injured. Now all of a sudden he's like captaining a house guard, which is like super cushy. And he just never really feels like he's earned his place. And all of a sudden he's a fist, right? And it's like, what the heck?
Yeah, I feel like his state of mind never really. He's still got the soldier state of mind, which is you go in with your men, and I think I can't remember who has the conversation with him at some point. It's Blistig who's like, look, you're gonna save way more people. I know it's hard for you to stay back in command, but like if you look at it from this perspective, you're really doing your soldiers more of a service because look what happened. Like they are going to throw themselves into harm's way for you, and you have that responsibility now of you can't just go in, which was just an interesting conversation about just tactics and armies and things like that, which is true. And I think he really struggled with that. Like he just can't be like, but then I'm sending my men in to die, and I'm just sitting back here safe, and I'm just not okay with that kind of thing. Which I really like about. I feel like the more I sit back and look at Gamut's story, it's like it's so tragic, and it's kind of got a I mean, we'll get there. Like it's kind of got a good happy ending, but it's still pretty tragic all the way through. I feel like, but yeah. So then he has Tavor. He's like, Captain Keneb he's the fist now.
He's me acting fist.
Which does
So
promote
notably
Renal as
when
well.
yeah, so when Gamma gets knocked off his horse, two important things. One, the horse falls on his leg,
Yep.
so he gets pretty beat up, and then also he hits his head.
Yes.
And so he takes a pretty hard fall after that horse and has to be dragged back. And that's ultimately kind of what leads to those soldiers dying because it's not easy to get him out of there. And then also he's too injured to continue the fight at that point, and so he needs some time to rest and recuperate. And so Captain Kineb is elected as the next fist, or appointed to be the acting fist until he recovers, which he's not so injured that he needs to leave the battle lines. He just needs a few days.
Yeah, I mean, but I think
recuperate.
like I to me I read it as like less I can't do it and part of and a lot more of like even though that is a true fact, like he is injured and he can't, but also he's not capable of doing it. And so pass on the reins.
Yeah.
I'm not doing
Yeah.
this anymore
Oh,
kind of thing.
yeah. I think he's definitely like leaning into it, right? He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I got injured. This is my way out, right? Like this is the
Yeah.
excuse that I can use."
And also look at this. This guy's gonna be a better fit. He just is.
Yeah.
Like he won't make the
Yeah.
mistakes I've made. And overall, it's less running from duty and more of like, I think this is just better for the situation overall. Which I think there's an argument to me that like Captain Keneb as a fist could be, but the problem is Renal.
Yeah.
It's just so bad his job when he gets
and
promoted
so
to captain.
which I love. I love that that's like a really salient element to the argument. He's just like, look, you can pity yourself all day, you can be sentimental, but like you need to be acting fit. You need to go back to being the fist so Kinect can be a captain because Renal is terrible and he's
Yeah.
the captain right now. And
He's
we
gonna
need to
get
like
so many people
keep that
killed.
guy.
Yeah.
He's gonna get tons of people killed. Like you're being super selfish. Like, can we please get this back in the proper order of things?
Yep.
Yeah. And so, and then that sort of conversation, right? So we have this sort of evolution of conversation with mostly Gamut being really hard on himself and self-pitying. And I mean, again, it makes sense. He was like, I got to prove this to myself. He literally charged in and immediately got knocked on his ass, right?
Yep.
So like, he didn't even get to fight. So he hasn't proved anything for himself like he intended to. And so he's like, he's just covering himself, right, in self-pity and self-loathing. But that's finally kind of we do get some hints that he's not sleeping well, that he is having some difficulties, but you know, there's not really too much that we focus in on that. And then we do this awesome conversation with Ballistic Tenebralta and Gambit when he talks about the 2+1. So, but that conversation ends with Gambit recognizing Ballistic's logic. And like any good friend would, he slapped the shit out of Ballistic and then went into Devore and told her that he would go back to being a fist.
Yeah, yeah. He was having weird. So he was also starting to hear singing and stuff, and and at one point he like kind of groggily walks over to the whirlwind, and Grub is there, and Grub's like, "Oh no, you're good, dude. It's just it's the whirlwind," which I feel like at that point I was just because there's a whole lot of singing going on and voices and stuff, which we finally come to learn why. But yeah, it's kind of cool that Grub just like knew this whole time. Like Grub's just keen to things that we're not.
And that was like and we didn't know it at the time, but that was us basically finding out that Gamma is going to die.
Yeah, I had no idea. And
I
even
mean,
when he
I
does, I still was like, because his ending, the ending where he like walks off with a warrior, it's just like we're gonna go east. I was like, okay, like, it feels a little weird and out of character, but like I guess I could kind of maybe see it. And then when we find out that, I think that's just like him becoming. Oh, I guess I'm curious to hear what you think. But to me, that was like he is now one of the ghosts in the Rauker. He's like a spirit there.
Yeah, he was already a ghost.
I see.
Yeah.
That makes even more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So when he started hearing the voices, that was like the foreboding omen. Like he was going to die. And then that night of the convergence when Corbeau Dom triggers everything, right? we're going to see that one of the elements of this convergence is going to be the memories of Raworku coming alive as ghosts.
So he never
And
goes in a physical form in that battle because he
no,
fights in the battle, but
he
he's a
does.
ghost already.
And so we see this awesome moment where
Mm.
now Gambit, the one fist by himself, he gets to go in, right? To challenge. And so it's kind of fun, right? So on one side,
That's
two
cool.
plus one, Bidethal's the one. Bidethal doesn't challenge. On the other side, two plus one, one is the Gambit. Gambit does challenge,
Dude, the
right? And he
symmetry
goes
is
in.
imbalanced, and I
Yeah.
know that's a
Yeah.
theme, but I
Yeah.
feel like you could write a 1,000-page book on just the similarities of balance and
Yeah.
things like that. Like everything
Mhm.
in this book
Yeah.
has its
Yeah.
equal or counterpart, and it's
Yeah.
just like, damn, it's just so crazy. It's really fun.
Yeah. But I couldn't help it because I'm just a big Lord of the Rings fan. So when he is sitting there, and I did not think he was dead. I thought the whole thing was kind of weird, but
Yeah.
he's talking about like the fire in his head,
Mm,
and that's actually like he was having an aneurysm or something to that effect,
yeah,
but
like blood clot
he
kind of thing.
dies. Yeah. So he strokes out in his sleep, and so that's actually like the moment he's feeling that. That's actually him. He's dying, and then when he wakes up, that's actually him dead as a
Yeah,
ghost waking up because of the memories of Raworku drawing him forward. Right,
that's cool.
he's effectively another person who has died, right, on the um as a part of that journey, right? Oh my gosh,
Chain of dogs kind
chain of
of.
dogs,
Yeah,
right? He's another person who's died on that chain of dogs. Yes, he wasn't on the original one, but they've been walking it back this
yeah.
entire time, and so
Dog
he's
of chains.
another. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, this would be what the chain of is it with chain of dogs? That's the dog of chains,
Dog
right?
of
Is that what you're
chains.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, so he's like another individual, and so like all of the rest, right? He's brought up in this ghost form to go fight, and they summon him forward to go fight. They're like, no, today you're not a fist, right? Today you're a soldier, like the rest of us, fighting for the person next to you. And he has this like exaltation, like, oh, I'm gonna go fight.
Yeah.
And as I'm reading that, I'm just like thinking back to like in the Lord of the Rings movies when they're all like in the two towers, they're all trapped in, and the orcs are like beating on the doors, and then Aragorn's like pumping up King Theoden, and he's like, "We're gonna ride out," and then Gimli's like, "Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Just absolute hype
yeah,
meter. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
That's cool. Yeah, I like that more because I think when I read it,
yeah,
I just because I think it is a little confusing, but I read it as he goes into the final fight, dies in that fight, but to him he never realizes he dies in that fight,
yeah.
becomes a ghost by
Mhm.
dying on the battlefield, and then leaves with other ghosts. But I like it better that
Yeah.
it's just like that hit on
Yep.
the head kind of got to him even before the final battle, but it
Yeah.
ends up being a good thing. And like I
Mhm.
said, it is I still think his story is pretty tragic all the way through, but it does have like that happy end. He feels
Mhm.
happy leaving at the end. He wants to go with these people,
Mhm.
wherever that may be. We don't really
Mhm.
know what's going to happen with all the ghosts. I don't think at this point, but seemingly a happy ending. They're back.
Yeah.
They're free.
Well,
Seemingly,
and it's kind of fun too because we will find out. So when they're marching, there's kind of this moment where like they're starting to get into the camps of the dog slayers, and there's no dog slayers that are like on guard and or that are like responding to this assault. And he's like, "Oh, those idiots! They couldn't hear us coming. Like, what are they doing, sleeping?" And then he's like, "Oh, you know what?" He looks back and he sees Nil and Nether, and he also sees the and Grub, and he's like, "Oh, you know what? It's probably the sorcery. They probably have masked our assault." And we find out is it's actually not that at all. It's just that they're ghosts. So
mm.
their assault is really they're not making footfalls.
Hmm.
Um, and but I like this I like this fact that like when he sees that winged when that the guard with like the winged helm who
Yeah.
we don't know as far as I know we don't know who that is.
No,
Yeah. But
she just
he looks
reminded me
back
a
and
little bit of the lady that
Mhm.
that is close with Duker throughout the journey of Chain of Dogs. I don't think it's her,
yeah
but that's what it
yeah
reminds me of. That kind of like
yeah
camaraderie kind of thing.
yeah yeah. Well, and like it could have been we could have met them, right? Because like presumably it could have been anybody who
Yeah,
had
it's just
died
someone.
like
Yeah.
along. Yeah, and so, but he kind of looks back, and there's this like moment where it kind of describes like how the other forces were like getting more distant. And so I kind of like to think that he kind of realizes, right, that like there's something different, right? Like he may
Yeah.
not know explicitly that he's dead, but he knows that like his place isn't with them anymore. And so like Nil and Nether and Grub like are in the distance, they're becoming more distant.
Yeah.
Um, but it's kind of cool that we find out that that actually is Nil, Nether, and Grub. That's actually them standing
Mm-hmm.
because Grub brought them to bear witness to the ghosts of the chain of dogs rising up, right? And they're not doing any sorcery. They're just like freaking out. They're like,
Yeah,
"How is this
because their
possible?" Right?
sorcery's
Like,
been tapped pretty much
yeah,
the whole book. Yeah.
yeah. And we find out that it maybe didn't have to be that way, but they've actually just been like wallowing, right? They're just like they're just in sorrow, and it's kind of fascinating too because from the beginning they were talking about how like Coltane is with them,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so and you think about it because they are in tune with like the spirits of the land, right? So like the Desert of Rabaku and things like that. They're on top of the spirits of the land. So they actually really were aware that the spirits of the Wiccans that if they had fought with were rising up with them and traveling with them as they went back. But they didn't think about it like that. Instead, they thought of the trauma, which is totally understandable, right? And it just made them more sad, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then more, grieved for the loss. And so it's kind of interesting that like they're in some ways their sorcery was working. They were able to see these spirits and hear these spirits and feel these spirits, but it only reminded them of the trauma they experienced. So they naturally couldn't really act on it. And then they get their resolution and getting to see that yes, actually the spirits were with them; those were real, and now that vengeance, or rather a vengeance, is going to be carried out,
Mm-hmm.
right, against this camp. And so after Corbeau-Dom, basically snaps his fingers to go ahead and have members of the forces of the Shaikh assassinated to take control. The ghosts of Rawarku rise up and storm this camp, and they start slaying all the dog slayers and everyone in the oasis that they can find. And they just travel throughout the camp, uh, basically just giving back to all of those, all to giving back to that army that they had received along the way,
Yeah. Saving. I
which
mean, at
was
some point they
yeah,
save. They save. What's her. Skillara, and
as well.
Phyllis and Younger. They save them. Some ghosts save
Hmm.
them at some point.
Hmm.
I was just thinking about when you're saying that. Like, I think like this could Corbolo Dom does literally any part of his plan go right other than
No,
killing the goddess. I guess technically they do.
they
Um,
do. Yeah,
but
that
other
does go
than
right.
that, like other than
Yep.
that, it's just a whiff. Like,
Yeah.
dude, just airballed it.
I mean, to be fair, it is kind of hard to plan on ghosts assaulting your camp in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
middle of the
fair.
night.
Yep, yep. But
Yeah.
yeah, really
So,
cool. There's obviously a lot more with the convergence that we'll talk about,
mhm.
but like, felt really. It feels like yeah. There's just all right. Yeah, there is so much
Mhm.
more. But even just the two armies finally like kind of clashing
Yeah.
was nice. But it's very different than what you'd expect. It's not like
Yep.
with
Yeah.
like the two armies meeting in the middle or anything like that. It felt very
Yeah.
different than that, which was nice
Mhm.
because that's kind of what it was setting up to be. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, the
exactly.
whirlwind and the Otatoro sword are gonna cancel each other out, and it's just gonna be army versus army, baby.
Mhm.
And even that was cool when they arrived to the whirlwind and she was gonna finally use her sword. She's finally about to use the Otatoro sword to bring down the whirlwind, but then the goddess brings it down herself because she's
Yeah.
not. She says it's not worth taking that wound.
Hmm.
Let him in, like,
Yep.
which is just
Yep.
very unexpected.
Yeah. Yep. We're gonna have to fight it out anyway, right?
Yep.
Might as well conserve strength, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yep.
Super cool.
So it is. I just yeah, the whole thing, the whole setup is just so great. Now it does kind of leave this open. This leaves this open question though, right? So like we see the motivations of Corbeau Dom, we see the motivations of Febrile, we see the motivations of Bidithal, right? And we see kind of what's happening with the Adjunct's forces and Gamut, and Leomin and Korab are on their way back, and these issues have been ordered. Actually, Leomin even tries to get into contact. He tries to send multiple riders back to Shaik, but they're assassinated by Corbeau Dom.
Yeah, I was about to say there's one
Yep.
other little part that
Yeah.
technically goes right for him. He does
Yeah.
stop because Leoman basically after that very first skirmish, he's like,
Yep.
we cannot trust Corbeau Adam. Like
Yeah.
he's not ready for this. Like
Yep.
she's got to change something. So, um,
Hmm.
yeah, I also thought before we move on from Leoman, just how like kind of fell into a role I wasn't expecting. And even though he was like a guard of the Shaikh, which I think paints him as somebody who is like tactical and, obviously he earned that position. I never really thought of him as like, he's kind of like a badass a little bit. And I don't know, he took a different role in this book than I thought he was going to, but I
Yeah.
liked him in it a lot. I thought it was good.
I did too, actually. I mean, um, I don't know who his opposite would be. I mean, I guess like either like a Gamut or a Blistig,
Yeah.
maybe. But I mean, he really does take a more of a prominent role. I mean, really, this is probably not the right thing to say, but he kind of becomes more like how Whiskey Jack is to the Bridge Burners. He's kind of becoming that for the desert
I would
people.
say, couldn't he? I mean,
Yeah,
like, I would even say like a Fiddler, because even though
yeah,
Fiddler's not in that like power position, he
yeah,
still kind of is to them. Like
yeah,
he's still kind, people still look up to him. He's like a seasoned veteran, so that's kind
yeah,
of how I would say is he was more
mm,
similar to.
yeah. And we know why he's called like Leoman of the Flails because like he uses a flail, but like he's a very well respected individual, and more so after those skirmishes.
Yeah.
And so now he tries to send riders back, but they don't make it.
Hmm.
And ultimately, this kind of what kind of leads him to also just not go back as well. And he kind of thinks that like, oh, the Shaikh is kind of ignoring him.
Well, the final one, he
Um,
he sends Korab,
yep, he says Korab, who
Korab
actually does
himself,
make him.
who does
Yep,
make it. Yeah, he does make it,
yep,
and
yep.
sees all the assassinated messengers along
Yep.
the way.
Hmm.
And then we kind of realizes why.
Hmm. And then ultimately, it would actually will be Mathok who also is able to avoid the assassinations. I believe there was like 6 attempts on his life, and he was able to thwart all of them. And he takes the Book of Drishna back to Leoman, and he's like, "Hey, look, you need to come back because the Sheikh needs you to lead the Dog Slayers and the forces of the desert against the Adjunct." And so ultimately, he does. He's like, "Okay, we'll go back, but they're not going to be back in time now." Because of this delay that Corbelow Dom was able to enforce.
Hmm.
So, and then we have the Ghost of Rawaku, but it does leave open this question of like, where are these ghosts coming from? And so, what's kind of cool is that Fiddler and Kalam have been hearing this Tano song. So in Deadhouse Gates, there was a Tano Spirit Walker who had touched Fiddler, and then they released the song when they were close to the House of Azath.
Hmm.
Um, and this song is the song of the Bridge Burners, right? They had taken their tale and they had woven it into this very powerful song. And the Bridge Burners were made in Rawaku. They're made in the desert of Rawaku, or Quickbin, Kalam, and all the Bridge Burners. That's where that name came from.
Hmm.
And we found that out previously. And so again, the symmetry and the power of symmetry, there is this unraveling that's taking place because of the fact that Fiddler and Kalam, and as we'll see, Quick Ben as well, are all coming back to Rawaku, where the bridge burners were formed. And because of at least as we're sort of meant to understand, because of the power of the symmetry, the bridge burners were formed in Rawaku, left Rawaku, and then died, right, in another place. And then you have the chain of dogs, where these individuals leave, they have to travel through Rawaku, they leave Rawaku, and then they die. And then those individuals then walk the path back, right, against the chain of dogs, walk back the same way to the heart of Rawaku. And then you have these bridge burners, right, who are also walking it back to Rawaku. And so this song then becomes kind of like infinite, if you will, right? It's sort of the and that cycle. They always this sort of imagery of like cycles is always like an imagery of rebirth,
Hmm.
right? But what we kind of see with Rawaku is it kind of like is like a winding clock that's spinning backwards. That as they both approach, this Tano song gets louder and stronger, and it begins to sort of wind back the memories of Rawaku. And so Kalam Mekar, he actually sees ghosts along the route back when he gets through the whirlwind. And so ultimately, of course, when he actually makes it to the camp, notably, is also when the ghosts all finally come forth to assault the camp as well. And so as they kind of,
Yeah, Kalam
fulfill
sees
this,
like history. He meets a Tenno.
yep,
He meets like the
yeah,
like one of like
yeah,
the big boys.
Yeah, one of the old ones, and he like
Yeah.
hears the song of his marching soldiers,
Mm-hmm.
and like we even get some name drops, even though I don't know if we'll ever see them
Yeah, like
again.
Disymbalakis. I was like,
Yeah,
damn,
yeah,
all right. Andy Milanakis. That's all I could think of
yeah,
was Andy
yeah,
Milanakis.
yeah.
Disymbalakis. Um, yeah,
Um,
which was cool. Also, yeah, I was,
yeah,
per normal, at least for me, there's just a lot of times I'm like, what? Like, what are we doing? Like, there's spirits here, and like now we're history lesson. Like, okay.
yeah. Mhm.
But I think thematically, it's like you can take away the important things.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I thought that was cool. We got to see the Thanos, the Thanos Spirit Walker, not the one that touched Fiddler, but
Mhm.
one of the, I guess, the ancient ones or,
Yep.
or whatnot.
Yep.
But yeah,
Mhm.
I thought that was really cool.
Now again, because of timing, because I don't know the actual order of events, but something worth kind of noting that happens at the core of all of this actually kind of centers around Kalam. So we kind of talk about him, right? Like he has been hired by Cotillion. We don't know the exact purpose, but we have some pretty clear suspicions that, and he first delivered these diamonds
Mm-hmm.
to Israel Puss,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's made his way through the whirlwind, and is now making his way into the camp. And so we can, we have maybe some suspicions about what he's there for, but it becomes pretty clear that he's going after the Talons,
Yep, Master of the
specifically the
Talons.
Master of Talons, right? Which they stand antithetical to the Claw.
Yep.
And Corbeil Dom notably does not die in this book, as far as I'm aware, right?
Nope.
So they
Yep.
capture him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that we're going to get more of a revelation here, but it does make me wonder, like with him being a Napan or Napan, the same as like Lysine and many of them, I do wonder if like this is the reason why the Talons were all killed by the Claw. Like I wonder if like Corbeil Dom like is the original corruption in the Talons. But like I don't know. But like I do wonder. And I also wonder too, like if he is a Napon and who has like more of a history too, remember Lysine's was from the noble family from Quantali, and her family, there was a coup against her family. And that like opens up like, is Corbeil Dom related to any of that, or right, like how much is he related to historically?
Yeah.
Um, so I am very interested to like learn more about what his relationship to the Claw originally was,
Yeah.
or is it just something that he resurrected after it had been eliminated?
The one thing that I kept thinking about was like I had a hard time figuring out where Bodden fit and all that, because he doesn't really he never really felt like someone that would or was working for Dom.
Hmm.
And so that's the only thing that
And
leads me to think that like maybe he wasn't always the master of the Talons, and he is now a self-proclaimed
yeah,
master of the Talons, because it doesn't make any sense for Bodden for me,
yeah,
unless Bodden was like the exception that Tavor recognized and
yeah.
tasked.
I mean, I could see him as being an exception. I mean, he's a Talon because his father was a Talon, and he might be more of like a self-proclaimed Talon, like separate from, like maybe there was like an original cast of Talons,
Mhm.
and then Corbeil Dom had influence over some of them. Because the thing there is that one of the Talons who fights Kalam says, "Do you remember me?" Which makes
Mm.
me think that he has more of a history.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe there were Talons that were starting to like form a coup,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
against the sitting. Not all of them. So maybe Bodden's dad, for example, was one of the ones who was really loyal, and Bodden followed in his father's footsteps. But maybe there were some that were traitorous, and maybe Corlo Dom's there, maybe he's not. But then they just decided that they didn't know which ones were and which ones weren't, so just wipe the slate,
Yeah.
right, and start
Yeah.
over. So
It's interesting.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm glad that
Yeah.
I am really glad that Dom didn't die, because I think that
No.
is gonna just, regardless of whether we get answers, just gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Um, and kind of like you were talking about with Bidithol and Dom, that even their endings are very
Yeah.
very opposite. I mean,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, but like very opposite and very very justified.
yeah,
And I do really love like Corbeil Dom's ending, because you're gonna have, so Kalam is gonna like watch these events happening. He finally does get to like the tent, right? He's gonna kind of like meander his way through the camp in order to finally get there. but he does make his way ultimately to this tent. He does have an interaction with Bidethal, and we see him. There's kind of a funny interaction where Bidethal's like, if by chance you so happen to defeat my shadowy servants, which won't happen because they're way too strong for you, and like, yeah, you may have this Ototaral dagger, but like, it's not going to do anything for you, so you're basically dead. He's like, if you do manage to make it out of here, then you can just go deal with Corbolodom. I'm not even going to try to stop you. I'll just stay out of it. And then, notably, his Ototaral dagger does great work at dealing with the Shadow Servants. And then Cotillian's like, I'm gonna get in on this too. And so Cotillion jumps in. And I love this like idea because we don't really see it play out. But I love this idea that like Cotillion jumps in, like deals with these shades like in super efficient fashion. And then Kalam's just like, damn, I didn't realize he was that good, right? Like he's just like,
yeah, we get with only real like
yeah,
any information we get about it is from Silgar, who's like crawling out of the tent, who runs into Karsa, and he's like thinking of like basically like I think he calls him a demon. Like that's how like efficient he is. Like he's a demon in there tearing up the place, and which Cotillion is just like he's done that a couple times now this book, and it's just like dang, Cotillion is the real deal. Like he is scary.
And then I love this idea that like Kalab's just like, I had it, dude. Like you didn't have to, and he's like, but I brought your favorite weapons.
Yeah.
And so Cotillion brings 2 wrist-mounted crossbows, and he's like, "I know how much you like these. And here you go." And then Kalab's like, fine.
Okay, yeah. This time though, don't do it again. Swear.
Yeah. But it is like a kind of a really like neat interaction between the two, because I mean, as far as we know, Bidethal has actually met Quick Ben and possibly Kalam in the past when his temple was first torn down, but we're not really sure on all of the interaction. We just know Quick Ben was there. And so it's kind of neat, like seeing this interaction, and again, also kind of realizing, for me, there's this moment where I'm like, hold on a second, like Bidethal just revealed to us that he definitively works for the Chain God.
Yep.
And we know that Kalam works now for Cotillion and for Kellanved. Like, it kind of made me wonder if like, is he going to feel compelled to kill Bidethal or to fight him because of the quarrel between their houses? But ultimately Bidethal is able to leave. And then Kalam is able to make it out, and he does make it over to the tent, and then we see these events unfold, which, by the way, I think like Kalam's scenes here are some of the most action-packed scenes we get in this sub book, if not in the entire book.
I think Karsa's got to be.
Oh, Carson's really good, but his stuff, certainly for book 1, but like for this book, everything ends so fast with him, right?
I know, but it's brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah, it's so brutal. But like the actual like intricacies of the fight is like, I thought that was like really well done, where he like waits for this distraction to take place. Which was it actually clarified who told him about the distraction?
Remind me of the distraction. You're talking about outside of Dom's tent?
Yeah, so he wants to go into Corbelow Dom's tent so he sees Rello come through, Camus Rello come through, and he wants to go into Corbelow Dom's tent, but there's several guards outside the tent. And so now he does have there is a note where he says he recognizes where Corbelow Dom's tent. First of all, he didn't actually know where it was, but he had a inkling because he remembers the land, and he knows that there's more defensible territory to the east, so he heads to the east. And then he realizes that Corbelow Dom has set up everything in the Malazan structure, which he says like was a mistake. And the reason why he says that is because that means that he's intimately familiar with every detail of the layout, because that's what he is, that's what he's been used to for the last few decades. And so he's able to easily find Corbelow Dom's tent. He sees Camus Rello come through the portal, but there's several dog slayers and assassins like guarding the tent. And so he's like, how am I going to get in? And then there's a figure who appears behind him, is like, what you need is a distraction. And he says like, there's no way that person is here, because they were a captain who died after Lacine's coup. And which we know now that was a ghost. Like had to be, unless it's but like it's the character that they don't say their name. They just say that they're there, and then we never hear from them again. And so
So
I think
here's
it
the
was a
only thing I
I
can
think it
think
was a
of.
ghost.
Well, yeah, I think you're right. That just had knowledge. I don't know if. Well, so here's what I think the actual distraction was inside the tent. Maybe was like we find out that Lestar, Yale, and Pearl had gone in there and killed Haneris or whatever, one of his mages. So they had just been in there. So I imagine that had to be some, that had to have played a part because they were just there. So that's what I would imagine. And if that's the case, it's someone that knows Pearl, and Pearl's a claw, right? So it's like someone that knows that Pearl has gone there and who sent Pearl and them there. It was also Cotillion. So maybe it was Yeah, I don't know who. Yeah, I don't know who it could have been, but that's kind of what I pictured the distraction to be like because they had just been there. It seemed like. But I do remember at some point there's also another scene where there's like someone, I think it's Hebrick maybe, or I can't remember, but someone's like laying on the ground injured, and like there's like two sets of feet running up, and then there's like some talking, and he recognizes some of the voice, some of their like moccasins feet, and I'm like, who are these people? Like he recognizes them, like trying to put the pieces together, and I don't think I ever did. But that was another moment where I was just like, there's just so many now. There's also ghost factions that I'm like, I don't know anymore. Yeah. I don't know anymore. Yeah. The other thing is also like later on, we learn that the bridge burners have ascended, which is like,
oh yeah, when we get into things with Great Band,
really cool, but also like, I don't have a problem with it at all. But I do find it funny. Like Erickson's just like, you get ascended, you get ascended, you get ascended. And he's just like, well, you know what? Fuck it. The whole group, you all get ascended. I found
everybody gets ascended. And then Federal's like, can I get ascended? He's like, no.
But later on, Fiddler feels Hedge.
Yeah, that one was crazy.
Which was crazy, but like, so then that makes me think like, could Callum have felt maybe an old friend, an old bridge burner kind of thing?
That's what I think it. I mean, I think it was something that like Callum knew.
Yeah,
right? I think it was somebody that he knew from his past, that he was a captain that was of renown, if not significant to him, then probably significant to people like Whiskey Jack or so on, who was someone who was supposed to be dead. And at that moment, he's not aware there's ghosts, so he's like, so maybe supposedly dead. Like, how is he here?
He should be aware there's ghosts though. Like he had already run into the.
Well, but he hadn't run into ghosts in the camp yet, right?
Oh yeah.
And so he because they have not assaulted yet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because this is kind of like the beginning of that, basically.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, then ultimately there is this distraction. I think you're right. I mean, I think that we don't know that this ghost actually made a distraction, but we do know that that there was a distraction. We know that Pearl and Star Yell are fighting. And so, but this ultimately creates a distraction, and many of the guards leave the tent, and so it just leaves two. And so Kalam is able to easily dispatch them and then be able to enter the tent and have the showdown where he can fight against, Aurelist, Camistrilo, and he fights against the other two guards that were appointed. Actually, three guards in total that were appointed to help defend
Camistrello and Corbolodon or whatever, assassin bodyguards.
Yep, and then we get that awesome scene where it's like the first one's one-on-one, and the guy's like, "Oh, do you remember me?" And then they have this fight, and then he finally just decides to like lean into it, take a little bit of damage himself, so to speak, in order to get underneath the parries, and so he's able to get a dagger into the guy's stomach, and able to kind of just like then cut him all the way across, and he's like, "No, I don't. Sorry."
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it is very much like it's like walking away from an explosion and putting your sunglasses on. But like it works, but it is like an action movie. Like, no, I don't. Like they're already dead, and like it's very cinematic.
Yeah. And then like the next scene is like, it's such a trope where the other two guards are like, "No, we just watched him. We got this. We're gonna take him down now." And he's just like, yeah, you guys probably got me. Let me just flick this at you. And they're like, "What the hell is this acorn?" Right? And they're like, they kick it to the side. And he's like, I was like, "Okay, you got me. wrist crossbows.
Yeah. These guys are just like not again. No, yeah, fool me once, fool me twice.
And then Rella's like, oh, he's like, oh, you're gonna pay for that. And then the acorn's like, actually, not an acorn. Quick bend, fireball to the back.
Which is crazy.
Gotcha.
Because like, this is like a stone acorn from a stone tree in the grove, where Karsa. So like, I have literally no idea how that shit worked.
Yep.
Do you? Because I have no idea. I mean, like, as soon as the acorn fell, the thing I was thinking was like, Azath House from Gardens. It's an acorn. They plant it, it grows.
Yeah.
But this time it was not that. It was Quick Ben. So I have no idea. I don't get it, but it was cool. It was really cool.
All I know is like from here on forward, you know, if I'm ever like feeling like I need a friend, I'm just gonna carry some acorns with me.
Yep.
And I'll just like friend appear, like, you know,
Quick Ben, I choose you.
Exactly, with Pokemon moment. Yeah. Just... All right, so I that's one of those things I do want to go back and reread, because there was this weird thing that happened with the acorn, because Kalam actually gets hit by the acorn.
It like falls and hits him, right?
It falls and hits him, right? And then he's like, "Oh, we're doing that again." I was like,
but that's what made me think of like the Azath house.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
So, do you think that maybe he thought that's what it was when he like, or do you think he knew as soon as he threw it, like, it's Quick Ben? Yeah, loose kid or a loose dog?
It's a loose wife.
Oh, a loose wife.
You know what I mean in the video? She's like crawling under, and she needs my
gosh.
phone, so there's just like a hand
That's hilarious.
on my desk trying to grab my phone. And I was like trying to nudge her, and then she like leaned over and accidentally got with my knee, and I felt really bad.
Sneaky wife.
Yeah. Yeah, the almost disembodied hand though, that was the real couldn't find the phone, just tapping everywhere on my desk. Your attempts to be sneaky have failed.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so I don't know, but like I have to think that like this, they've done something like this before, right? But like, I don't know.
They had I mean, I guess that's the only the knuckle in the hole. Like they did it in Dead House.
Yeah, exactly. They had the knuckle in the hole.
But like Quick Ben gives it to him. It was like, hey, if you need me. And I don't think it was an acorn, was it? I don't think it was an acorn. They never said it was like an acorn, because I think I would have thought again, oh, this is like the Azath house. But maybe it's just acorns in the world of Malazan are very special. They're not like our acorns. They can hold other things.
Quick Ben just has this really big thing with acorns, you know.
Yeah, he loves acorns.
He loves acorns.
He's a nut guy.
Yeah, he is. So I definitely want to like read more on that and be like, what the heck happened here? But either way, he has a knuckle in the hole. He's able to bring Quick Ben to bear in this tent, who then takes out Camus Rello. Yeah.
Which is also nice because like he never really got to do that.
Yep.
Like he used it, but like they just got to communicate a little bit. But he finally gets to like summon him, and I mean, it's the first time they're fighting together since Gardens, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it was a great reunion. I mean, like I've been waiting for it. I love Quick Ben and Colin together, so it was cool to get them back together.
Yep. It was really cool. And I also love the fact that like, you know, Quick Ben like takes out Rello and he's like, yeah, you've had this coming for a long time.
Yeah. And then with Dom, it's even funnier to me is like they enter and Dom is like, wait, we're just on the cusp. I'm not doing anything bad. I'm helping. I'm the good guy. Like he tries to like play it off to them even. Just like
that's one of my favorite scenes for the resolution is they like Quick Ben immediately gets to the resolution, right, where he's just like, so you really thought that you would just like betray the Shaikh, deliver her to Devore, go to Empress Lysine as a hero, and then you're probably going to be like, oh, then I'm going to assassinate her and then take over the Empire. That's what you probably thought, right? Like that is so stupid.
Yeah. He's like, no, that's not what I was going to do. Yeah. And then, weirdly, they don't kill him. They knock him out, which was really interesting. So the only thing I can think of is, he's under orders specifically not to kill him.
Yep. Well, I think because like I thought it's like okay, so Cotillions like you need to go find the Master of the Claw, you need to go kill the Talon, sorry, and you need to go kill him. But like I mean, without even, I mean, granted they could have talked about it, we just don't get it on like in the actual forefront of the book. But like when Corbeil Dom rushes, Kalam doesn't even try. He just immediately like knockout,
Yep.
right? Just gets him in the side of the head, like very intentionally, just like no, knocking him out. So yeah, it does make me wonder if actually his task was not to kill Corbeil Dom, but was actually to find the Master of the Talons and deliver him
To Cotillion.
to
Well, it was
to either Cotillion or Lysine.
I think it was
Either one.
Cotillion, and I think he is going against orders when he gives them to Pearl. Because he's like,
Yep.
you owe me. He gives it to Pearl,
Wow.
who's not necessarily working. Well, actually, we
Right.
do find out. Well, we know that Pearl
Yeah.
is working for Cotillion as well. So I don't,
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it does seem. Well, yeah, I don't know then. Maybe Callum knows that that's Pearl's mission as well. I don't know.
Yep.
We don't necessarily know what each of them knows that Cotillion has given to them.
Well, I mean, because it raises this question, right? So like we have Pearl, we have Lestariel, and they have been working with Cotillion. I mean, Pearl did not know, but Lestara did. They've been working with Cotillion now almost since the beginning. And that came about because we found out that Lestariel actually came from the same temple that Bidithal was at, and that she learned the shadow dance, which now that there is Cotillion in Canalavad, they can like basically they know when people are doing the shadow dance, it like brings forth the House of Shadow. And so he had contacted her, and so this entire time they've been working for him, but they don't really know what he wanted them to do. And then ultimately she knocks out Pearl. After I guess we should say that they found the body of the Shaikh, the old Shaikh, the old Shaikh,
Yes. Yep.
whose body's been reclaimed by the desert,
Yep.
completely drained of all of its life on all kinds. And so then they're kind of come to the conclusion Falison must be the new Shaikh. It's younger, and so she can help fulfill the prophecies. And then they follow her trail through the whirlwind. There's some, slight banging along the way.
Yeah.
Um,
It's so I like take note, Christopher Raggio. This is the will they won't they that we all
Yeah.
want and deserve.
Yeah.
Like it's fast, it's
Yeah.
hilarious. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought some of the scenes where they're bickering and bantering I was like laughing out loud.
Yeah.
Where there's like the one where he's like, oh, you I think you like me. And she's like, whoa, oh yeah, well, I like you so much. I put my head between your legs, and he's just like, what? And she's like, oh, I didn't mean that. And like, yeah, it's just very, very much like, oh, it's I really liked it. And then yeah, it was very like, and then it flips kind of like he gets super needy afterwards, and it's just like, so we're like together now, right? And she's like, no, we're not. Which I just love their whole journey. It was a fun one, but
Yeah. And so then they end up working for Cotillion both. So, but they never actually say like what their job is. So I do wonder, like maybe that is their job.
so she does deliver some diamonds to Cotillion that she had found.
She delivers a stone to Cotillion that she had found.
Oh, it's a stone. Oh, I thought it was like because it was like a familiar. Oh, so it was a stone.
Which it might have been a diamond, but she kind of phrased it as like a stone. Is like another term. So it
yeah,
could have
they
been
never
like a
specifically
gem or
said the
gemstone.
diamonds. I think that's
Yeah.
just what I
Yeah.
thought that thought that it was.
Yeah.
Like she found him, knew it belonged to him,
Mm-hmm.
and so she was returning it to him, like one of his demons.
Right.
Basically.
And she did know that it could be something of like use to him, and he smirked, and so yeah. So I do think it like came from Kalam, and that she had returned it to Cotillion. But I think ultimately, I think that is their job is to deliver Corbeil Dom, like to like receive Corbeil
Yeah.
Dom.
It's interesting
So-
though. It's like he's given this task because I think you're right. I think Pearl doesn't ever meet with Cotillion or know. Right? She keeps it from him.
Not until after he's knocked out.
Yeah. Which
Yeah,
at that point it's like they wake up and he gets Dom. Like there's not a whole lot with him after that, after him waking up that has to do with Dom or anything other than him just receiving him. So I wonder why it needs to come from him, or maybe Cotillion now. The only thing I can think of is Cotillion wants Pearl to deliver Dom to Lysine.
I think that's
And
the
Callum
case, yeah.
can't be the one to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because remember that part of why Pearl brought on Lestariel and wanted to follow the trail of Felison was because he suspected that Felison had a Talon
Mm-hmm.
that was with her, and he wanted to figure out if the Talons were still alive,
Mm-hmm.
and then ultimately ends up with the master of the Talons.
Yep.
And so I think Pearl is like the perfect person to be delivering Corbeil Dom.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
So, and now why would Cotillion be interested in this? I think that there's again more motivations there that would still need to be revealed. And we'll talk about like what Crocus and Absolar, what Cutter and Absolar kind of reveal to us, which is kind of really the most important element of their story. But I do think that like ultimately, I do think that there is a interest in having the Talons be rid of. I think that there is an interest in ensuring that Corbeil Dom is taken care of. And I think that it serves not only Lacine's purposes, but very much serves Cotillion and Kellanved's purposes as
Yep.
well.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
Yeah. And so yeah, so we do see this really awesome scene with Quick Ben and with Column, and then when they come out with Corbeil Dom, then they have to like dive into a ditch because they almost get like run over by ghosts or other soldiers or something. And so that was kind of the last thing I was going to mention with them was again
Oh,
chronology. We're not.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
When they come out, they see Karsa fighting. I think they see Karsa fighting.
Yes. Yeah. I
one
was.
of the
But I was
dogs
talking about that with Karsa.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. He
okay.
does. Yeah. Yeah. He like. Well, so they first almost get run over.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, I think we're gonna like wait this out for a bit in this ditch where we don't get hit by a horse.
Yeah.
And then they're just like kind of recapping. You know, I love actually it's kind of funny how the recap goes because he's just kind of talking about stuff that happened. He's like, yeah, and then I almost ran into, or he's like, oh yeah, and then I ran into these two hounds of darkness. They were like hounds of shadow, but much bigger, much meaner. And I had to summon like 5 demons in order to stop them. And then Quickben's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like it took out 5 demons.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah, no big deal. He's like, wait, no, that is a big deal. Like, okay, what the hell were these things?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, they're like hounds of darkness. I'm not really sure what they're here for. He's like, yeah, I think we need to know why they're here. He's like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. He's like, no, they're right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Terrifying.
And then they're basically just like, oh crap, there's the 2 hounds, and then Carson just like comes in and he's like, nope, just like
Yeah.
wrecks these hounds. Yeah. Yeah, so that scene was super cool. Yeah, they just like sitting there hiding in a ditch, just watching Carsa like
Yeah, they're
fight
like,
these 2 hounds.
You got this, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
got
got this. We're tapped for the day.
Yeah. But the last thing I was going to mention with these 2 specifically is again in terms of timeline. I do think, chronologically speaking, I do think that Drishna died before Kalam goes into the tent. So notably, we haven't talked
Oh, I
much
see
about
what you're
Lorik. We haven't talked much about Lorik yet, but notably, Lorik does go into the tent of Corbeil Dom. He does get stabbed. It doesn't actually pierce him. I mean, not it pierces him barely. He bleeds a little bit. He pretends to be dead. He has a new demon familiar who rescues him,
Yep.
and then later point, that we see Rello come back from the portal through Kalam's eyes. I think that in that period of time in which Kalam is getting to the tent, I think Lorik's already been saved. I think Lorik has already gone into the fissure again, and I think that Drishna has died. Because my understanding is that it's after that we see the ghost come in, right? Because we even see like before we even see Kalam see ghosts. The earliest he could have seen a ghost is like when the guy was like, "Oh, you need distraction," right? Which is after Rello comes back. So what I think kind of happened was that Drishna dies, who was in possession of the shattered warren of Erlaton or Erlaton or Ermelane or whatever, who's in possession of that shattered warren. And I think when she dies, I think that the chain god isn't able to claim it. And I think Rawarku is actually able to.
Returns to Rauk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it returns to Rawarku. And then that's like the final piece. You got this Tano spirit song, and then Drishna dies, and then the Shattered Warren returns to Rawarku, and then now the ghosts manifest. And when we saw Kalam originally encounter those ghosts along the way, remember he kind of like is able to talk with the Tano spirit walker, but he is not really able to interact with them in any other capacity.
Hmm.
But he notices like these waters. We know we found out that like the Rawaku used to be just a series of islands like underwater,
Yep. And
and
I
then
thought that was cool too because he's been like foreshadowing that since
yeah,
Deadhouse Gates, how it
yep,
used to be water, the whole, and
yep,
now it's just like a desert land. So
yep.
really
And so these
satisfying
like
there.
memories like play back, and so we see the recently dead, then the older dead, then ancient dead, and then the waters come back, and it just I thought that was really cool. But it just reminded me a lot of like the thought process was Drishna dies, which leaves the Shattered Warren open. It can be claimed. Robert who claims it. The ghosts come back. The seas come back. And isn't that a lot like the Nascent, which is also another one of these like
Oh,
Shattered
I'm
Warrens?
pretty sure that is the water. That's
Yeah.
that's where I was at
Yeah.
least. Like that dam basically
Mm-hmm.
breaks because we knew it was
Yeah.
about to break anyways. They were talking
Mm-hmm.
about it. I think that is the actual
Yeah.
water. Yeah,
Yeah. And so
which is
I think
super
that's kind of
cool.
what happened. And so it just like all sort of plays out. And we don't really get to see like moment by moment, but I think that is like our indication of yeah, that just happened. Like
Yep.
Drishna just died. Yeah.
Mm. I did. I was just kind of looking at my notes of some of the. So there's one recurring thing that gets talked about a lot in like the histories that we hear
Mm-hmm.
from a bunch of different people, which is the nameless ones.
Yes.
And that's been we've been hearing that for a while. But that is I just wanted to note that it was something that the Tano, he was a seneschal or
Mm-hmm.
seneschal or however we want to say it,
Yeah.
which are like the Leosin. That's what they are. Like I guess just kind
Yeah.
of priests.
Yep.
So he was the 11th and last seneschal, and he was banished by the first emperor. I think Decembalakis was the first
Mm-hmm.
emperor. He was
Yep.
banished for his treasonous alliance with the Nameless Ones. That's why he
Yep.
was banished. And then he also hints that the emperor did something. I just wrote far more than 7 protectors. I don't necessarily remember what he says, but I quoted it, so he must have said
Yeah.
that far more than 7 protectors. But I there's moments where I was like, wait, so are the nameless ones just like the humans? Because there are sometimes where I closed my eyes and opened them, you were gone.
Okay. I just said
Do we
yeah.
know? We don't know who the nameless ones are, right?
No, we've only seen their interactions and influence. Like we know that they're the ones who commissioned uh like Mappo to stay with Icarium.
Oh yeah,
Um
wow, yeah, I totally
mhm.
forgot about
That's
that.
the first time we got introduced to them, and we've seen
Yeah.
them. They've been mentioned several times since.
Oh
So
wow.
they're this unknown force, right? I mean, they're basically like the
Mm.
Illuminati of our story so far. We don't know who they are, but we know that they are antithetical to whatever the aspirations of the First Empire were and the Empire's sense. Um,
Well, it's interesting
and
because,
that,
like, at some
Mhm.
point, and maybe we'll talk about it later as well. But at one point, when Onrak is talking, we learn about the throne, the first throne
Mhm.
that was sat by Kellenvad.
Yep.
And Onrak is like, this was I thought this was terrible because of Kellenvad's association with the Nameless Ones.
Yep.
And I don't know if he actually had that association, or it sounds like he kind of jumped to that conclusion because Kellenvad and the crew, the family, um, met in the dead house. So
Yep.
I don't know if the connection is to the dead house in the Nameless Ones, and because Kellenvad was in there, he just assumes, or if it's something
That's what I
different.
understood. That's
Yeah,
what I
so
understood.
Kellenvad
It was
may
like,
not actually been in cahoots
mhm.
with the Nameless Ones or something, but
Yeah.
just happened to be in a place that was associated with them. So
Yeah.
Onrak went to
I
that
mean, for all
conclusion.
we know, he might have even met some of the Nameless Ones and basically just been like, hey, stay out of my way. Like we don't actually know what that interaction was like, if there was one at all.
And it is
Um,
plural, right? So the name is I right here. I think I
Nameless
forgot the
ones.
S. Okay, that's what I
Yeah,
thought. Okay,
nameless ones. Yeah.
it's at the
Yeah.
end. It's gonna be we're gonna figure out who they are, and it's gonna be Steven Erickson and Ian Esselmont. It will be them, the real gods. It's
Yeah,
gonna get
yeah.
real meta.
Yeah. You're all in my warrant now,
Yeah.
bitch. Okay, yeah. Um, no, so yeah, the nameless ones. And so yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna continue to learn more about them. I
Hmm.
think for me right now, the really interesting question is what is the relationship between the nameless ones and the chain god, if there is anything at all,
Mm.
right? Because they both seem to be forces at work, even still, that are extremely suspect,
Yeah.
like in terms of their motivations and intentions. Because
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, because we know that Onrak is concerned with the Unbound reaching the first throne,
Yep.
right? So he does not want the first throne to go into possession of the Chain God.
Yep.
He does not want it to be in possession of the Nameless Ones,
Mm-mm.
right? And so I think that through him, we know that the motivations of these characters are all highly suspect,
Yep.
and very concerning.
I'm
So
curious to learn more about Disembalakus because like that the other thing that the Tano guy talks about was um, that he had endless legions and 7 protectors, which I think we are to assume are the hounds.
I think so, because we had the 7 hounds for the 7 cities, and then we have these 7 protectors.
Ooh.
I think that, yeah, I think that those are the same things.
It's interesting because like when he talks about the 7 protectors, he says 5 of which are no more,
Yes.
and then there's a 6, a black beast, which has just been banished, which I'm assuming was when.
Statue.
Oh, to me, I thought it was when Karsa kills the first one. That's kind of when I pictured as another like concurrent thing going on, maybe, but maybe not. But because then I was thinking like because the Tano is so is Disembala. If that's the case, then Disembalakus controlled the hounds of specifically darkness.
Yep.
So but then the word seneschal we've only ever heard with Tist Leosin, which is light.
Right. But it's when light met darkness that we got shadow.
That's true. Yeah. So
We
So
have to
maybe
break
do you
off.
think like Disembalakus was pre Shadow, like
I think
that
so. Yeah.
far back? Okay, so like real far back.
Well, we don't actually know how old the House of Shadow is,
Yeah,
because
that's true.
the House of Shadow is like Kellenvet and Cotillion, but it's talked about how the House of Shadow sits on something that came before it, right? Because they're not like
Yeah.
the real.
So it probably wasn't actually Shadow before,
It might not have
just
been.
a
It
different
may
name.
just be maybe something that sits between like the Tista Andy and the Tista Lewison.
We also found out some really interesting stuff as far as like the yeah. So here it's like we've heard this is where I think we talked about in the previous video how there was a little confusion going on, at least for me, with like there's the Mianis, there's the Rashawn, and like all of that. And then
Yeah.
we find out in this one that like they're the children of the Elder Warrens. Like, and it's like a 1-to-1. Like each of these is the children. So now there's Warrens and there's Warren children, which is just like I don't even. And it seems like maybe only the humans can only tap into the children ones rather
Yep.
than the elder ones.
But it seems like there are forces that can tap into Elder Ones. I can't remember if the Jagged are able to do that or if like the Talon and Moss do that, but it does. I mean, yeah, I think you're right. I think that there's not really many humans or mortals that are drawing on the Elder Warrens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just a lot
but
of
then, but
like, in classic Malazan fashion, I feel like while there are a lot of pieces that kind of start to fall into place, there's a lot more
yeah,
of like more questions, which is great. I mean, it gives us something to drive towards, but
yep,
there's a lot of just mystery here still
hmm
about a lot of stuff.
hmm yeah. I mean, I think there is. And I'm very excited to continue to learn more. The lore is really really cool and how it's
Yeah.
being built out.
It's weird. I'm
Yeah.
like, there's a part of me that's more excited, even more than like reading forward of like rereading it, which is
Yep.
like I'm already that excited to reread it because
Mhm.
because I know by the end of this, maybe not every answer is gonna be questioned, but not every question is gonna be answered, but like you know
Every answer will be questioned.
every yeah, I mean it probably will. Um, but I just feel like I'm gonna feel at least right. I'll have the whole picture, and I can say I feel grounded going into these books of like here's what I can really focus on, and like where everything's unknown. Like going into House of Chains, I was just like I don't know. I don't know what to focus on. And then we got part 1 with Carson. I was like, I still don't know what to focus on. I've got Carsa, Focus,
Yeah.
Farkas.
Okay.
And so yeah, I think there is. I'm excited to do the rereads when the time comes, just to feel a lot more grounded. But
Yeah.
but yeah,
So I can't remember the names of the Hounds of Darkness. It starts with like a D.
Oh, Daragoth, I want to say.
Daragoth.
I think it's
Yeah, that sounds about.
Daragoth or something
It's
like
either
that.
Dinagoth or Daragoth.
Yeah, something. Yeah, one of those.
But I do believe that we're meant to understand that those are the hounds that were released from the statues by Onrak.
Yes, I believe
Yeah.
so. Yep.
And I think also that the reason why they're going back to the tent, like the reason why Column runs into them is that, and the reason why Carcer runs into them is because they're actually heading back to the Oasis. And this kind of gets into the whole
Like the
thing with Lorik.
Grove.
Yes.
Mm.
Well, I don't know if it's specifically the Grove,
'Cause
but I think it might be.
the
It's
play.
where Lorik found the fissure.
Yeah, that's in the Grove. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So I think that's where they're headed.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically because this is how you're going to get to Drishna, who has the shattered warrant. I think that's what's drawing them.
Well, they're in there at some point too. Because
Yes.
when Lorik goes in there, wait.
But
Yeah,
I
he
don't
sees them,
think that
right?
well, he does, but we don't remember the fissure is like a memory.
It's a memory. Yeah, he sees a memory.
So we
of them.
don't know we don't know if those are the ones that are present or past.
Yeah.
I think that they might be the ones that are past.
I think they're the. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. And which I think can get like
Oh my god!
really
Seriously, it's like we're gonna
time.
add time loop shit to this. Like, oh my god!
I was there was a moment where I was like, I swear, like if Lorik goes back in time, which then does this thing that then is the reason why it's true in the future.
I feel like Icarium. If anyone's gonna have a time travel to reset something, it's gonna be Icarium.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's on the quest for the time thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a very good chance of a time, some kind of time loop happening, and it's gonna be awesome. But also like, be like, I just don't need any more. And he's like, and for the 5th book, we're gonna run 3 parallel timelines at the same time. And they're like, please, Steven, give me a break.
We're gonna have like the Malazan version of Dunkirk, we just have these overlapping timelines.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll have to give us a long explanation about how that works.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I mean, Lorik does encounter them in that, and so we can really kind of talk about Lorik, but the main thing that's kind of significant with Lorik is that he discovers that there's this fissure that's through the grove. So what again? Getting into weird, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey memory stuff, I think it is significant that Karsa has learned about how he can use statues to bring upon the essence of these creatures. That this is in some way the same essence that then Lorik can use to go through a fissure to go into Robert Crew's memories, where he encounters those dogs, those house of the Hounds of Darkness, saved in the nick of time by his father, who also had realized that you can do this and is basically just chilling.
Yeah, he's like, I want to stay lost. Yeah, don't tell anybody. One
other who is a
sorry,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say one other thing before he gets scooped up by his dad and saved. When he sees the Daragoth, which we do know are the Hounds of Darkness, he also sees like kind of like a pseudo caveman people, which we know are the ancestors of the Emos that were domesticated by the Daragoth.
Yeah.
Which just opens up, again, a whole nother line of like, okay, so the Emos were domesticated by these Hounds of Darkness, which is crazy. And then, in like it's pretty far back. It's got to be, they're still in like a caveman kind of situation. So I did find that really interesting of how, we hear people talk about a lot with Tolkien of like, right, the dude has got the history of Middle Earth down. He's got it down. And it seems like Steven Erikson kind of does too. And maybe not all at once, like maybe it's not all in his head, but he's giving us some of that. And I think I think this is just a promise that we are going to get more of it. And learn about the history, which is really exciting to me.
So if our like ancient ancestors are like Neanderthals, and these are the ancient ancestors of the Telander Moss, can we call them like Teleanderthals?
Yeah, exactly. Rolls right off the tongue.
Teleanderthals.
Teleanderthals. Yep.
I had a buddy. Not to. I don't mean this as offense because I come from a military family too.
Oh
and
boy.
like Josh
Oh boy.
and jabbing.
Close
was
your eyes,
always the
veterans.
thing. But yeah, I have a buddy who was in the army, and then he did National Guard after that, and it's always so much fun talking with him because my family was all Navy. I did not serve, but it was just always like I grew up in a Navy household, so like joshing with the Air Force and then the Army was quite common. So I have this buddy he was infantry, and then he got married, he started having kids, he got out. And then he one day decides I'm going to send in my DNA for, a genome test, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's expecting one thing. It's one day we're sitting out for dinner. He's like, I really expected to have different heritage, but one thing I did find that was really interesting was I have an above average percentage of Neanderthal in my DNA, and I was like, well, you're infantry,
That's hilarious. Yeah,
and he thought that was the funniest. He's
that
just
is
like,
funny. Yeah, that's what they did. They test them. They're like, throw them in the infantry.
the,
Yep.
the,
That is funny.
you know. But the thing I was going to say earlier was I don't know that we understand, like, well, I know I don't understand how statues work, but like I'm really questioning the thing with the statues. Like, is it possible that when Onrak broke those, like what he really released was like the hounds from that fissure to like
Mm.
then come through,
Oh, like they
right?
were stuck in like the memory, kind of.
Yeah, like maybe they aren't like because like the way I thought about it was like these are like souls that are like trapped in a
Yeah.
statue,
Yep.
but maybe they're not. Maybe just by breaking the statues, it let these like memories of these hounds to come through into their like current world, like current day world, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe not. Like they really were like maybe they were banished and like that's how they were banished. Um, I don't know, but I think it
I
is
think
like
I'm
really
more
neat.
aligned with you, where it's like at some point I think they were trapped in there, way
Hmm.
long ago. They were trapped
Yep.
in there, and that released them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
because I mean, we know that like Osric was able to go into this memory, so it kind of leads open these questions of like, how long have these been here? Like, can people go into them? And also note too that there is a pretty strong similarity between this fissure that Lork goes into, and then also Dragnipur,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Because like we find out with Dragnipur that like they're like dragging these like carriage of chains that they're dragging, but like their world is shrinking, and then we also find out with the Fisher this memory that the world is like shrinking as well, right? And so I thought there was a really interesting kind of similarity there between those two things.
It sounds like so. The other thing too is like right. This is a memory from a really long time ago, and I know that
Yep.
that these gods, some of these gods are old, but like Osric also talks about how they found him and Rake together
Hmm.
because right they were buddies. They found
Yep.
Moonspawn here, and that Moonspawn,
Hmm.
which we already knew they were Kachain Shamal. It was a Kachain Shamal sky.
Yep.
Well, I don't know if we knew it was called a Sky Keep, but we knew it was from
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. We did. Yep.
Um, and so like, did they come to a memory and find Moonspawn and bring it out, or have they just been around for that long? Because if they were around for that long, where the Amos, it just doesn't seem like they could be, because the Amos were not even like humans yet, really. I
Yep.
mean,
Well, but they also could have like discovered its location in a memory and then gone to that place
oh,
and
and
then
I see.
and unearthed it, right?
Yep,
That could
yep.
have been the thing as
Because they did
well.
say it was like hiding under like ice or something. I
Yeah.
can't remember, but it
Mm.
was like kind of hidden a little bit.
Yeah.
But I did find that to be cool, and just yeah, I like. I mean, yeah, the Soul Tarkin, Soul
Yeah.
Tarkins are just sweet. Lorik was cool,
Yeah.
and he kind of is the one that coaches
Yeah.
them. He's like, yeah, I think Lorik is like, we're doomed.
Yeah.
My familiar's fallen, and our Warren is doomed. And
Mm.
Osric's just like, or you could just get another one. And Lorik's like, all right. And then
Yeah.
they go and get another one.
Yeah, and I love that Lorg like gets one, and then Osric's like, "Do you really want this one?" He's like, "You told me
Yeah.
to go get another one.
It's
I
like
found
four-eyed
one."
frog
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah,
It was just
I
all he
love.
wants to do is eat, and
Yeah,
it's kind of not a deal. He's just like, hey, if you behave, I'll take you somewhere warmer, because they're up on a snowy
yeah,
mountaintop and like they're
yep,
gonna die. They're like right on the
mhm,
cusp of where the memory
mhm,
ends too.
yep,
And so he's just like, I'll give you a place warmer and you'll probably live, but you gotta be good and you gotta be my familiar and guard the
yeah,
thing. He's like,
yeah,
okay, but I'm hungry and I want to eat first. He's basically a hobbit. He's like, I must eat first. Which Grey Frog, I feel like Grey Frog is he's almost the way he talks reminds me a little bit of Puss, where it's just like kind of like talking out loud. But I feel like Grey Frogs is more like processing. He's like out loud processing. Which is fun. I think Grey Frog is a pretty fun little character so far.
Yeah, those are also those kind of fun things where, like I don't know how much like Erickson spends like thinking about like language or like dialects, but that's also one of those things. It makes the character very recognizable. Like Israel Plus, like you even if you do not do a voice for him, like I will always recognize him based on his dialogue because it's so unique.
He literally says he out loud.
Yeah.
He. Like that shit cracks me up every time he does it.
Yeah, he'd be the guy like today that you'd be like, "Did you just say LOL out loud?"
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
but yeah, the processing. So one thing that is kind of fun is like it could actually be like a language thing too, which could be kind of fun. Like that might just be like if you were to translate the language or like the way that they speak, right? Like they might just be like the natural way for him to speak.
Yep.
Like for like his people, like or demons or like people of that language like to speak.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a funny idea of like that's like maybe or maybe like he needs to like maybe he does just have no filter on his thoughts or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just kind of fun.
Yeah, I really like him so far, and he saves Lorik. He's and I mean, where he ends up, we're gonna in theory get a lot more of him because he's going on the quest with the gang, which we haven't talked about yet, but we will. So yeah, he's in it.
Yeah,
which is also really interesting because I'm realizing he doesn't end up in the Warren protecting it.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, not yet.
Not yet. Yeah.
Yeah. So one other thing, I know that this can go. I mean, this one can go into a deep well, and there's still just so many questions, and even the answers that we have need to be questioned. So, but there's one other thing that's important. So, Osric swoops in, saves Lorik. We get this very interesting father-son drama, but notably, Osric is going to save Lorik again. So the next time that we see Lorik do something like this, he's actually like he recognizes that Falison's going to try to go engage with Tavor. Falison, the Shaikh, right? He's going to try to engage with Tavor. The whirlwind is now in full possession of the Shaikh, in full force. And he realized that if he has any hope of like saving Drishna or saving the Shaikh, like he's going to need to confront Drishna. So he goes back into the fissure and he finds Drishna. And but he's too late, and the assassins of Corbeil Dam are already there, right? Camistrello has already transported them there, and they are able to jump. They're able to jump Lorik, and they stab him and leave him on the ground. Notably, he doesn't die though, because they try to stab him in the heart, but he's not a human; he's Leosin, and so his hearts are located elsewhere.
His butt cheeks.
And yep, exactly. So. And then, but then he lays on the ground, and then he's nearly dead. Except then Osric once again shows up and saves him after Drishna has been killed and then chained down by the chain gun. Now, the notable thing there is that if Osric saves Lorik, then that should mean that Lorik went literally back into the same fissure that he was in before to encounter Drishna.
That means who Lorik did?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, couldn't Osric have just gone to a different Warren?
True, could be,
because he seems like a pretty powerful.
Oh, I think he's really powerful.
Powerful guy.
Yeah.
And it's like to me, it feels more of like he loves his son so much that he is now abandoning the whole like I'm lost, and now he, I think that's probably going to reveal to other gods that he's back, that he's not truly lost. But he's willing to do that to save his son. Yep. That's kind of how I looked at it.
I think that Osric is extremely powerful, and I am also questioning every single dragon that we've ever seen.
As like, are you a soul taken?
No, are you Osric?
Oh, I'm like, Osric.
Yeah, like when Piran like saw the dragon fly over, I'm like, that could have been Osric.
Yeah, I
Like,
can't remember.
you
Do
know,
we get like his color? I'm assuming white. I mean, I would just
no. So I think Osric is a golden white
golden
dragon
white.
because
Yeah, yeah, okay.
I think it's like how his hair is,
Mm,
right? Because he's got that like Leosin hair with like the gold strands. That's what
yeah.
makes them kind of distinct. But yeah, now I want to go back and like read up on every dragon and be like, what's your colors? Like,
Yeah, what's your
you know,
colors, bro?
could you be Osric?
Yeah.
Like the dragon, the nascent. I don't think that's Osric, but we do know it was a soul taken. But I'm like,
Yeah, that one was like
it was,
from what I remember, it was like red. I thought.
I don't think it was him, but like I'm now, and
And
but
how many of
also
these are?
going.
Yeah, who like is every dragon a soul taken?
That's another thing, right? So like the Ototarol dragons that were like, especially like the one that was like, crucified. Like now I'm like, maybe all of them actually are soul taken.
Yeah, and I'm assuming if you're since he's since he's crucified, it probably doesn't let him change back into whatever human.
Well,
form or person form.
I imagine whatever form they die in is probably like
Well,
that's probably it, right?
I guess was the crucified dragon dead? I thought it was just
Oh,
like kind of trapped in like
yeah, it may not be.
Yeah, I guess I don't. I guess I don't know.
I thought it was dead.
Yeah, maybe this picture definitely like. I mean, it's I guess its
It's
head's
pretty
just
rough.
like kind of chained back because it looks like he's like head. I mean the tongue though. I mean this isn't also it's not. It's just someone's depiction of the scene. So I don't know. For some reason I thought that it wasn't dead, and maybe it's because I saw. No, because I didn't look at this picture until I had the cover on it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember.
I
if
was
it
thinking
dead or
more
not.
of like it's just it can't do anything because it's crucified.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of like weren't Pearl and Yale like we gotta get out of here kind of thing.
No, I think you're right. I think it might be still alive. Yeah. And yeah, so maybe that's the thing. But I do kind of feel like it's maybe they all are, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Maybe the Ototalral ones aren't. I'm not really sure, but it kind of seems like so far a lot of the dragons we've encountered are soul taken.
Yeah, and if they are, what happened to the Otataro dragon feels pretty similar to what happened the gods, ganging up to do what they did to the crippled god.
Yep.
Seems pretty similar.
Yep.
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it's interesting to think about.
Mm-hmm. So the reason why I bring up this idea of like the fissure is because we find out that Drishna is a Talani Mas. So which is again consistent themes. The Unbound are Talani Mas, Drishna's the Talani Mas, but Drishna is this Talani Mas who was there like way in the beginning, like way before the Talon. In fact, maybe even calling her Talani Mas isn't even appropriate.
Well, no, because we find out who she is specifically. She was Onrak's wife. She was Onrak's wife that when he painted the picture of her, she was so upset that she basically lost her mind into madness. And it was pre-ritual, and they had to they said that they like disassembled her and locked her in a dark space, and that's who she became. Which I thought was a really fun reveal. It's like not just a talent; it's like it's someone we just know them by association, but the connection to Onrak was I thought really cool, and just it really does double down into that like how strong hatred can be. So yeah, that is. I mean, at least I'm pretty sure that that's who.
No, I think that's right, but like it definitely. Again, this idea of like this dark place. I mean, it might have been that they like trapped her. Like this is a way that things could be banished. For example, like you trap them in a memory.
And she was all chained up too.
Yep.
Which is interesting because they said they disassembled her, but she's not disassembled when they find her. She's just like in form, chained up.
Right. But like, I mean, we have seen what Onrak did when he reformed him, or right, Onrak reformed himself. Like there might have been an opportunity for her to do something similar. And kind of reform herself.
Well,
I mean, she said she's taken the power from all of these people that she's trapped over the years. Yeah. So,
because I think that they killed her. I thought it was maybe before the ritual, like the vow. Let me look at my note, but I want to say it was before the vow.
I thought it was too.
Oh no, I'm sorry, it's not. because the when Onrak painted them, that was like basically the night before the vow. They say that her madness broke the vow, and that others had to shatter her and lock her away.
Yeah. Well, and we know that like we saw what happened with Cybele, but yeah, I mean, I think just breaking them is not enough, right? Like, it can certainly break them from the ritual, like it did with Onrak, and but yeah, just breaking them, I don't think is enough. So I think you're right. It's like they didn't cast her into oblivion, like what happened with Cybele. They said like they spread her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
then,
but I wonder if
maybe
this is
just
like
like
a
the
type of banishment.
yeah. It seems. I mean, it's so far that's I'm sure there's other examples too, but like the dragon, crippled god, and now her, all kind of in the same form. Because the crippled god wasn't free until it shattered, right? Or did they
Yep.
shatter him? I thought the shattering was like the inciting event that kind of freed him.
Right, that was the inciting event.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean they chained him down,
yeah,
right?
they
That
just
was
kind of
like
chained
that
him.
was the event that they did that they needed everybody for.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, it makes sense with everything we've seen and all that.
yeah.
So
So, and then the other thing I want to mention was I can't remember specifically where we got this idea from. I think it was from Onrak, but we do find out that mortals, like specifically humans, are descended from the Imas, that the Imas made them, and that they rebelled against the Imas. And so the Imas thwarted the rebellion pretty harshly. But they didn't want to eliminate all of the mortals. I believe it was from Monrac because he was talking about like the first throne,
yeah,
that
I
it
think
was
it was
intended
during
that
that. Yeah,
that a mortal would sit upon the first throne and command the Talani Mas. In part as well, like we also know that after the ritual, having a mortal is really important. That's why having the mortal bone caster for Memories of Ice is
my gosh,
so important.
what the heck was her name?
It was like something Fox, right?
Silver Fox. Silver Fox.
Silver Fox, yeah.
And so yeah, that kind of they talk about a new mortal bone caster. They're just talking about her, right? There's not another one.
Yes. No, that's her.
Okay, but it's interesting because when they're talking about like what the crippled gods' plans are, their plan is to get a mortal Edur to sit the throne, to then be able to command the mortal bonecaster.
Well, and they're just saying that that would be the case.
Oh, so as soon as an
yeah.
Edur sat that throne, he would get to command even Silver Fox, just because she's technically why?
Mas, yeah.
Just because she's a bonecaster?
Well, because she's a member of their people. She's
Yeah.
like she's subservient to the throne, right?
Yeah, but she's in like physical form. She's not though, right? Because wasn't she reborn as like a whatever that like those native people of
Right, but the reason why she is, but the Rivi people, but the reason why she's a moral bonecaster is because she's got the spirit of a bonecaster.
the spirit?
in her,
Yeah,
right?
so even that's enough for
Yep.
if someone's sitting in that throne, we can control you. And there's a lot. I guess just more power in them being immortal than.
Yeah, well, I think something with a ritual. I mean, again, we haven't learned that, but it seems like the fact that she's a mortal bonecaster is really important. That she can have power over the other
She can
Talani
release
Mas. Yeah,
or
she can release
enslave
them.
or yeah, she
Right.
does because she tells
And
them no at that first,
Yep.
right? And they just have to obey that.
Yep. And and I always kind of thought it'd be like, oh, a snap of fingers thing, but it also could be the case that she would need to sit the throne in order to issue those commands. I'm not really sure. But I think the idea is really significant. Now, keep in mind that this idea of like mortals being significant has come up again and again and again. The master of the deck has to be immortal, right? Right. That's why Piran is the master of the deck. The members of the households have to be mortals, right? This is why it is Karsa. This is why it's Silgar. This is why it's Bidithal. This is why it's Bodden is interesting.
I was about to say,
But
what
I
about
think,
Bodden?
I think the thing with Bodden though is like Hood gets to make his own rules,
Yeah, you think
right?
Hood's
Because
gonna...
Bodden's mortal, but then Hood's like, nah, you're not going on this side of the gate just yet, bud.
Yeah.
Right. But he is technically still mortal, right? He's still a human person.
Yeah.
Yes, he's died, but it's also Hood, so he gets to do what he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. But mortals are an essential element to all of this, and we're not really sure why. Although I have my suspicion, And I had kind of mentioned this before that I think that part of significance of mortals is that since they are mortal, they will die. They don't eternally command authority, right, or power.
Yeah.
And I think that that is something that's important
Just like a
for
checks and balances basically for them.
exactly. Yeah. I think so. Also, it was like in one sentence, but I also think we got a little bit of a lore drop that it was mortal people, right, that instigated the ritual of the soul taken in the Devers. And I think it was because of the conflict between the Talani Moss and the
Oh,
mortals.
yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because we had
Yep.
learned a little bit about it in Dead House when they
Mhm.
went into that
I
temple.
found, yeah,
Yeah, and yeah, I do. Yeah, you're right. It's like one sentence. I
yep.
totally forgot it was in there until you said something. But then,
Mm.
yeah, I was like, oh yeah. I was like, oh yeah.
Mhm.
There's the. I think it is when he's just like spewing the history of
Mm.
when Kellenvad
Yeah.
sat the throne.
Yeah, because I think he's trying to, the whole premise is that he's trying to convince um,
Troll.
Troll Singar to stick around and wait up for their pursuers to catch them
Yep.
because they want to join forces
Yeah, because
because
Troll's like,
he
that's a bad
believes,
idea, bro. They're
yep.
gonna kill you. Um.
Yeah, because he believes that the Unbound are actually heading for the first throne.
Yep. Yeah.
Hmm. So, which now the time of the Tista Eater trying to sit the throne, but I didn't think that the throne on Drift of Ali was that throne, but maybe it is.
That is
I thought that was the throne of darkness, or not? Maybe not
no, I
darkness,
think that is
the
the.
but it could be the first throne
I thought it. I yeah, I didn't even
because
think about
because Animander Rank is the one who appointed the defense of that throne.
he. Yeah, so you think
Yeah.
yeah.
So I thought it was related to like Animander Rake's Warren, not
Interesting.
you
Yeah,
know.
I don't.
Yeah.
It must be a. I feel like well,
I I'm pretty sure it's a different throne, but
but so when
yeah,
we learn about with Drift of Ali, when Cutter and Apsa are leaving, they see everyone that was also there leaving, and the reason why is because Tillian is leaving demons in charge of it, which I didn't really
yep.
think about that until now when I'm thinking about the epilogue when they get to the throne and it's Apt and his demon and all those children. Are those considered enough? Is that who Cotillion left in place?
Mm,
Because if it is, then it would be the same throne, based off of that conversation. It seems like to me
yeah,
like
yeah,
it would be. But I don't know because they go through Warrens and shit to get there. They just kind of
yeah, yeah,
like get there, and
yeah.
Manala is there and everything.
I
So
think
yeah, I
they're
don't know.
different. Yeah, I think they're different thrones because going back to Cutter and Apsalar, what they reveal to us is that um, that one of the Cotillion and Kellenvet, specifically Kellenvet's scheme, might actually be to seize control of the thrones but not sit on them yet. Because once they sit on them, that draws the attention and possible ire of all of the gods and even potentially elder gods. And so
I thought it was even
basically,
like, yeah, okay. Because
yes,
yeah, I guess the way I read it was like he could sit on them, just not use an ounce of the power, and they would still not know. Because that's what he did with the Imas one. He sat it,
right.
and they didn't know at first.
But then that was another thing that Cutter and Apsalar talked about was that perhaps the reason why they needed to die and ascend is because, and then ultimately separate, like the reason why there could have been this coup d'etat from the scene
Mm-hmm.
was because he had sat that throne, and then now the Talani Moss are in the service of the Empire. For him to then try to claim the throne of Shadow, right, would now kind of start to consolidate power into one individual,
Mm,
which could have then been too dangerous for the gods for this mortal to command the Warren of Shadow and also to command the Amas and also to have like this large mortal empire.
yeah.
And so there's the coup d'etat, the ascension.
So
And
you think
but
it's
again,
the actual just as soon as you sit, your
yep,
butt hits the
yep,
seat,
yep,
everyone is like, we
yep,
now know who sits this
yep,
throne.
yep. You take your pants off, you take your boxers off, you put your butt cheeks
Yeah,
on the
cheeks to
throne.
seat.
Yep.
Okay,
So
I'm interested to
yeah.
see if that is it because
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think I'm leaning more towards you can control it and no one will know, until you actually use that power for anything. As soon as the power is used, like for some reason I thought it was like with the Emos one, when Kellenvad used the Emos to take over Aaron. That was like the big event that like kind of put a mark on his back of like, oh, he controls, he sits this throne, like he controls it. Now we gotta do something about it. And so then they planned everything to escape. And now the plan was, we're still gonna sit them. We're just not gonna tell anybody or do anything. That way we can, because the whole thing was that they don't want other people to. He doesn't want the gods to have that power. That's like they think that that's his plan. It's like he has all the power, he's not using it, but no one else can either. So it's like a stalemate. But if he's not sitting it, then he doesn't have the power. It's just nobody does.
Right. Well, and the reason why I think it's that case is because there's this talk about how like Kellenved and Cotillion occupy the Warren of Shadow, but they're not really like the lords of that Warren yet, right? Like Cotillion can't like see things that the Hounds can see, for example. And so it makes me think that like yes, they do lead the Warren, but I think that there is like a throne to the Warren of Shadow, and Kellenved's never sat it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like intentionally leaving it open, but trying to like control. He wants to like kind of control all of them first, or control as many of them as he can before he like actually amasses that power.
I'm trying to think back to where, do we ever at any point find out that like Kellenvad and Rake might have some kind of like not alliance but understanding or something? Is that has that happened? I honestly I just can't remember.
No, I don't think it has, but also I'm really suspect,
because if that's the case, then that changes everything about the throne that's on Drift of Ali, because that could have been Kellenvad's plan with Rake to station it there. Because all we know about the first throne was that Kellenvad sat it, or sorry, before Kellenvad even sat it, they moved it. They moved it somewhere south, basically. To me, like where they talk about moving it sounds like Drift of Ali. And then Kellenvad found it, and Lacine cannot find it. And so to me, that it just seems like that is the one on Drift of Ali. But then there's the whole thing with Rake. So the only way that makes sense with Rake is if Rake and Kellenvad are kind of in cahoots on some stuff.
Yeah, or at least have like an understanding, right, in terms of that throne.
Yeah, which would really put a different perspective on a lot of things that happens in Gardens with that first battle with Lacine sending them to attack Moonspawn and stuff. Or, trying to bait out Moonspawn. Yeah, so, just a lot of moving pieces. But, yeah,
it's pretty cool stuff.
It is cool stuff, yeah.
And so I really do want to learn more about like the conflict between like the Telenimos and like the mortals and like the soul, like where the soul taken endeavors come from, and like
freaking
that ritual.
Forkel Assail. I thought we were gonna get some in this book, and then it's just like no. we talked about it one more time. We're kind of getting into the Onrak and Troll stuff.
Yeah.
Which really up to this. Yeah, I think kind of up into the point where we're talking about where Onrak is telling the history. The only real things that we found out is that Troll's very young and a virgin, which becomes important later. Not at first I was like, what a weird thing to tell me, Steven. But it makes sense later down the road. But so I wrote down. If you want, I can just read it. I don't know how accurate this is, but usually I write it right as I read it. So Onrak speaks of the first Empire throne, how it was originally on 7 cities, but moved to Quan Tali to hide it from the Nameless Ones. So not Drift of Ali, Quan Tali. To hide it from the Nameless Ones, those who serve the houses of Azath. Because if a Nameless One sat at the throne and controlled the Emas, or the Imas, or whatever, they would order them to accept eternal imprisonment and remove them from the world. But Kellenvad found the throne but didn't abuse the power, is what he says. Onrak believes that Kellenvad was assassinated and that Lacine can't find the throne. That's what Onrak believes. He's worried that Kellenvad was a Nameless One since he spent time in the Dead House. And then the whole thing with like he thinks the renegades are heading south to find the throne to sit a mortal T.C. Dur. Only a mortal can sit the throne. A new mortal bonecaster has arisen in a distant land, which we know is Silver Fox, and will be controlled by the T.C. Dur, who sits the throne. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then the next time we do hear about Forker LaSalle here again, because we learn the history. Basically, they show up, the Monarch and Ibra, and Onrak like basically tells them what's happening, and it's great because he's just like Logos accepts like immediately. It is
Yep.
immediate.
Mhm.
So we learn the history. He spits off like, here are all the renegade bone casters, and who could it be? And so then we kind of figure out that it's this guy named Tanag Ilbai, whoever,
Yep.
who was he was tasked with fighting the Forquil Assail.
Yep. Who I think we're meant to understand is the lead of the Unbound,
Tanag,
which is, yep,
Uragal.
Urgal.
Yeah,
I
because
believe
he
that's
now
right.
has a new name. He's no longer
Yep.
Tanag Ilbai, and he was a different name even back then.
Yep.
But he was tasked with fighting the Forquil Assail, who Onrak knows was basically an impossible task. That task was destined to fail.
Yep.
And them like basically like, I think all of that led to the renegades kind of came into place because of the Talani Moss. They shamed these people for failing tasks that were impossible to complete. And so they almost like birthed the renegades themselves,
Yeah.
which was
So
interesting.
and so it was actually kind of interesting going back and reading the cave scenes from the third subbook, because essentially they were exiled, right? So they're like clanless now, effectively.
The
They were,
renegades.
yeah, they were stripped of their weapons. Their weapons were buried in that cache, and then they were effectively bound to to that site. And then that's where we get that term unbound, because they were able to remove themselves from that site. But that's why Karsa needs to go back there and take them with him, so that way they can reclaim their weapons and then
Become
be
unbound.
free. Yeah, be free. So yeah. So it's kind of like interesting, right? It's that so they've essentially been shamed. But it was really cool going back and like reading that scene, because we also get the interaction with Karsa talking with them, and he talks about how, they have done this to him and they haven't done anything to deserve it, the Teblor. And they're like, no, you have done something to deserve it. And he's like, what could it possibly be? And he's like, you failed.
Mm.
Yeah, because these Teblor are like a people of the Toblakai, who are like these banished, these like disgraced individuals that somewhere along the history with like a Akarium or whatever, they needed to go into hiding. They had failed in some mission,
I
and
thought they were
so
Jagged though. The Tobakai,
yes,
right?
yes, yeah, they're more related to the Jaguts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but remember they were like, they saw in the cave, as they were like going down like the stairs of
Yeah,
like
they're
the
they
moss,
read
that
the
they saw, like
Carium.
they saw a moss stuff, they saw stuff at the moss, they were to carry him. And so somewhere along the lines they were supposed to be doing something, and then they failed. We don't know what
Mm-hmm.
that was. But then, yes, but then you have these individuals who are exiled, they're clanless because they failed, and then they're doing the same thing to these Tedlor descendants, right? They're treating them in the same fashion
Yep.
because they had failed in something, right?
Then learn
And
their
so,
lessons.
yeah. And then, and so then you also get this stuff from Asabel, who's like, and be and be in awe how amazing it is that you failed, because now you can celebrate in your, and be with the chain God who seeks to make the imperfect perfect, and all this fun stuff.
Yeah.
um but I just thought that was like really kind of cool to go back and be like, oh my gosh, like they took this like pivotal event of their own history where they had to like accept failure and defeat and exile, and then they literally just went ahead and just put that right on top of an entire culture of people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's kind of like, yeah, when like um, it's like the whole thing with like, right. This is kind of a weird tangent, but like if a parent is abusive toward their kid,
Hmm.
and then I know it's a weird tangent, but then like
Yep.
that, or sorry, there's like a bully, right? A bully in school,
Yep.
and then you find out that that kid's
Yep.
parents are abusive, and like
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you kind of make that connection of
Yep.
why that might be, why that kid is a
Yep.
bully, kind of thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly it. Yeah.
A couple more things I want to chat about with On-Rack and Troll before we move on to some of the other stuff. But which, by the way, we are at 2.5 hours. I think
Okay.
this was just an impossible one. There's just too much stuff. Although I think we're close. Like I think we can do Karsa pretty quick because it's a lot of just like cool shit.
Yeah. Have you seen Karsawick? Because I
Yeah,
believe that's
exactly.
how that's
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But so they sit down at one point to listen to the tale of the basically of Edor, the troll's tale, and he talks about of an ancient people who were all bone casters who predated even the Emos, and they were called the Eres, which is a whole other thing. And then Monarch lies and to Troll saying they're all dead. They're all dead. They're all dead. And even Onrak is just like he lies by omission. He doesn't say that that's not true. Then they get to this place, which is the Eris Gate. I don't even know why they're there. Really, it seems like that's where they're going through to get to the throne.
Throne. Yep.
Yeah, so we know it's a place of power that was formed in an area where the Eris brought their dead. Since I wrote that they were the first to understand they all must die. And the other thing that was really important for the people of the Edor is that they believe in that in nature strives to maintain a balance. That's a big thing in their culture. And so then just before they go through the gate, the Eris gate, this Eris woman just jumps out and basically rapes Troll and takes his seed. So I guess it's not. I'm assuming that him being a virgin is going to come into play here. It's like technically he's losing his virginity. I don't know if that's going to affect like his first seed for any kind of reason. But it seems so. Like otherwise, why put it? Other than maybe that's going to be a traumatizing first experience. So, and then she just goes, and then they just go through the gate and meet Manala and Penek and Abt, and they just never talk on that at all, which is super weird to me. But the way they leave it, it's like they haven't even had the conversation yet. Really, there's a lot to come with this whole scene. I just found that we have another new people that are predating even the Emos. So are these the same like Neanderthal people, or were those the eras that we saw in that memory, or is this before even that? And do we? Okay, this is another question I wanted to ask you. And maybe it's just like there's just so much overload that I just am not keeping things straight. Do we know exactly what a bone caster is?
So right now, originally I thought they were called bone casters because they were like undead. But now I wonder if Bonecasters was just like one of the original names for like their priests, essentially, who maybe would be responsible for like the dead.
Because
right?
This ancient people, they say, were all Bonecasters, and that's where I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah. So I'm wondering if they're like, it's like the like sages or like maybe bone casting, because like in our history, bone casting is most related to the casting of bones, which was a type of prophesying, foretelling. That's where we use that term. So, but they have like the deck of dragons, or and so it seems like that's how they do it, through like a tarot card style. But maybe that's not always the case. Maybe so these bonecasters could be people who dealt with the dead. Maybe they're people who dealt with prophesying.
They do talk about how important like significant death was to these people. So yeah, just
I don't know.
I don't know either, but seems like it's important. And there's at least one that is alive and now pregnant with Teast Eder. So what the whatever that means.
Now I've got a question for you. This is a bit of a meta question, but I have a question for you. Okay, so does that make this Aries woman, is she a semen demon?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Semen demon. Dude, there's well, I won't spoil it on here, but I'll tell you off stream. That's not the first time I've heard of the semen demon. Which in books. In real life. Okay. I've got a story to tell you.
I had to ask that after watching one battle after another.
Yeah.
That scene in one battle is so good.
Yeah. Semen demon. Yeah, so really that's kind of where we leave them. They're in the room. Onrak does feel the death of his wife or ex-wife, or I don't know what they call them, ex-lover. And they do have an important conversation about and I do feel like I had a little bit of a hard time just like breaking this down. The whole thing where Onrak talks about how the heart is not given or stolen, but rather it's surrendered. And that's what the Emos people did, but they twisted that word surrender when they did the vow. Um, and so I don't really understand like what that means. It's one of those things that like I feel like I want to read the epilogue again. But Troll even like kind of I don't know, pokes fun. It's like at the Emos people for they not admitting that basically, and so like I don't really know what that means, but it seems like it's important, or just more of like a philosophical kind of thing with Erickson.
I took it as more of a philosophical. I mean, I would have to go back and read it, but the way I kind of interpret it was because they had this concept of like failure, right, and like how they shame right people for failed, and so I think it's kind of a jab at them. It's like, why did they take the Talon ritual? Well, because they wanted to wage this eternal war against the Jagut, right? And so in some sense, I think there's like this poking of fun was like, didn't you in some sense like admit failure because you had to go through this ritual, become undead and live forever in order to actually beat the Jagut? Like, if this is the extreme to which you had to go in order to win that war, like, did you really win?
Yeah, but what in like that makes total sense. But like I'm trying to find like where like the heart aspect lies. Like, where is this metaphor with like the heart's not given or stolen, but it's surrendered? Because it seems like there's a lot of like emotional. Fellison talks about how blood is the ultimate chain. Like, right, and it just seems like all of this is kind of connected, in a way. To me, it seems like that, which is like love and things like that. So I don't know. It's just one that I was like, I feel like it's just like a whoosh. Like I want to get it, but I don't. And so yeah, I didn't know if you had any thoughts on that. But that really is like I think the final conversation in the book in the epilogue is they talk about that. So yeah, I just that was interesting.
What is love?
What is love? Yeah, baby, don't hurt me. I just feel like there's a reason why I ended on that. Like, and. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is though. Maybe someone will tell us. But
just gotta keep reading, man.
We just gotta keep reading.
5 more books, we'll get there.
6 more books, right?
I
6 more.
How many books are there in total? How many
10.
books are there in total?
10.
Yeah, 6 more.
I can count.
But we're gonna get on the 9th book. That's what I'm trying to say.
What's
we're
that?
On the 9th book.
Well, yeah, we're
gonna
get
on the 9th
book. Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Do we want to do Karsa or cut? I mean, we really honestly we covered Cutter and Apsalar, other than like who we didn't talk about, which I think is important, is Heberic, Fellison Younger, and Scalara.
Yeah. So it is worth mentioning that with Solara. So with Heberic on that side of things, I think we can go through because I think there's 3 left. We can go through fairly quickly, which is just to say. Because right now, I think that Solara is one of those, the Heberic and Solara are specifically one of those things where that's going to be more relevant, I think, for our next book.
Yes.
And so we're just kind of setting up some of these threads for the next book. But it's worth noting that it was Febrile. Yes, Febrile had been partaking of prostitutes. And in one in particular was actually a servant of Bidithal, which Febrile knew and didn't reveal, and basically was taking advantage of this prostitute anyway. When all of these things get kicked into motion, then Febrile's like, okay, cool, everybody from Bidithal's got to go, right? Because we don't want any of Bidithal's servants to be nearby.
And I thought it was Dom. Sorry, I thought it was Dom that was sleeping.
Maybe it was Dom.
But Febrile's the one that orders her killed.
Yes, Febrile orders her killed.
Yeah, because she listens into a conversation of Dom and Relo, and then goes and tells.
Yep. But she was a known spy. Like that's kind of the part of the relation too. Is like they always knew that she worked for Bidithal, and so then Febrile's like, no, get rid of all of Bidithal's servants, right? And we actually see many of Bidithal's. Solara's not the only one. Many of Bidithal's servants are executed, right? We see because there's like I mean they attacked Bidethal's temple. There's other servants that Kalam runs into that are dead in the streets. So there's many of his servants actually get executed. And so Solara is this basically she's been working as a prostitute and she's been feeding information to Bidethal, and she almost dies, but she's able to save herself. And then Hebrick is able to kind of because of his abilities as a destriant, he's able to kind of be there in the nick of time. He can save her, he heals her, and then he brings her to Felson the Younger, and then they get saved by or have been saved by Karsa, and then ultimately, all of them three, with the familiar from Lorik, Grey Frog, ultimately travel together to leave this oasis because it's going to go to the ghosts, it's going to go underwater, and it's time for them to escape, right? And they basically, Lorik's like, you need to get out of here, like, save the Fellison you can save.
Yeah, and
right?
I think Hebrick knows he needs to go back to the. I think they know they need to reverse walk the path that got them there, even though it's with different people. I think Hebrick knows it.
Well, and notably, again, symmetry. They're actually on their way. They find Istrel Puss. They rescue Istrel Puss. He's really excited to have some women pull him out of the sand by his thighs, and
Hee hee.
and then they are going to deliver him back to the temple where they're going to encounter Cutter.
Yep.
So notably, Absalar has left Cutter to go complete the task that Cotillion had set out for them because she doesn't want Cutter Crocus to potentially come into harm's way and be killed.
Yeah, it's
So
kind of a sad scene.
Kind of a sad scene as she leaves, but she does it out of love for him. She has the skills; he's still learning them.
Yeah, and there's I mean there's a lot to say about that. I mean, that whole thing because he comes to her and she's like basically confronts him like, and she's mad because she thinks that Cutter only loves her for the parts of her that were Cotillion, and like I thought this was a really interesting moment for Cotillion, where he's just
it was
like
an amazing moment for Cotillion.
he's just like no, like that's not the type of love he has. Like he loves every part of every version of you. Like it's true, like complete love, and then that kind of convinces her to be like, well, then I don't want you to taint him. I want you like take me, and you need to watch after him. And he's like, I will watch after him like he is my son. And it's just like, damn, okay.
No, that's like one of the best moments for Cotillion, honestly, because he kind of steps into this role. Like you actually are like, no, he's actually coming like a father figure for these two individuals. Like he recognizes that he did this to her. He actually, in some sense, kind of has like a little bit of regret over it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like he's going to keep challenging them because they are learning skills that he personally values. He thinks are really important for keeping people alive, shaping the future of one, like taking one's own future into their hands. And so he's going to challenge them to do exactly that. And so, yeah, when she started having that dialogue, I was just thinking to myself, I was like, man, I hope that her character comes to understand that like Crocus didn't learn these skills to love the assassin that is Absalar, but to be able to keep up with her.
Yeah.
Because he loves Absalar.
Yep.
And then when Cotillion's just like, no, like you don't understand. Like he does love you. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so like what superb writing, honestly. Like to have like Cotillion who had like possessed her, that's the reason she skills, but then to be there and like actually challenge her as like a father figure.
And I feel like 9 times out of 10, if an author wrote that, I'd be like, whoa, that does not feel like in character for this guy. But like it does, like it works. I believe it. Yeah, I think it's just a great scene.
Yeah, and then it even like kind of ends the scene too with like she can actually like see his features. Like she's actually the one who can like see the scars under his eyes, and like she can actually like see him for like the person he was.
Yeah.
Or is really. And so that was also pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
we
I
don't
love
really
that
know
scene.
where she's gone at this point, other than she's gone.
Right, but I think we're meant to understand that she is she's going to complete the mission that he had originally tasked both of them with. Like
But
there was like an intention for
some reason I thought that task was also just killing the like the master of the town, because originally he sent them to meet a Pust. Yeah, I guess maybe we thought that, but now that we've seen like he had other people doing that, maybe because they had that conversation, Kellenvad and and Cotillion right after they sends them on their way. So it definitely felt like it was like, oh, that's where he's sending them. But yeah, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was something different.
Yeah. No, I the way I kind of interpret it was like there's like they go to Israel Puss, but like that's like a waylay, right? Like it's like a way station. It's like, but there's like something else to do next.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is like now what like if it wasn't Apsalar, it was going to be Cutter, right? Like it was one or the other. And so Cotillion is giving Apsalar the opportunity to choose this.
Yeah.
Rather
but
than
he still
forcing
tasked
it
Cutter
on
with
her.
something and really important too, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's like this is the secondary task, which is to basically be Bodden, the Bodden of the party on the way home.
Yes. Yes, and again that brings that symmetry, which is he's the one who delivers that message, and so now you have Heberick retracing these steps to the Ototal mines, and then which he originally was on that quest with Bodden and Felison. So now we've got Felison the Younger and Cutter is
Who's
Bodden,
Culp?
and then we have Culp.
Is that
right?
Solara or is it Grey
Solara?
Dog? But what's Grey Dog?
So with him, I don't know that we have like a really good analog.
He's just the extra.
I'm trying to think. He's the Finner, right? Because remember they brought down Fenner. I don't know
who. Oh, Fenner.
Finner, yeah, because they brought it down. No, like I don't know that we have a really good analog, particularly because when they got off of the mines, they had Gessler, that Stormy in them. They go through, but then it's just them, right? I mean, until they encounter the guy's name starts with a G, who's the rats dude.
Grillandus or something like that.
Grillin. And so, I don't know who like, Grey Frog is supposed to be in this particular scenario, but I think Solara is.
You think she's Culp? Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like Solara and Culp are just nothing alike. Where right with Felison Younger, I see the symmetry with her and obviously Felison, but even though they're different people, Heberick is just still Heberick. Cutter feels like he's gonna fulfill that bodyguard role, but Culp was a mage.
Yeah,
like
but
does that mean we don't know about? Yeah, does Solara have more? I mean, she has enough power to where like she was ingesting like a fuck ton of that like smoke and stuff, and like pretending it really affected her, but it didn't at all. Yeah. She was just like, I'm fine. So maybe
I think there's a mystery there, and that's why I'm kind of curious. I'm like,
maybe Grey Frog and Solara will merge because Grey Frog is, I mean, seemingly he's a demon. I'm assuming he's got a lot of power. Like mystical power. So that to me, that even fits like the Culp more so than Solara right now. But I'm curious to see.
Yeah. So we have that event going on. We've got Karsa, who basically comes back, and then he just goes John Wick. He's like, I'm back.
Yep.
I have these names. Everybody's gonna die. Yep. Shows up, kills the assassins that are going after Felison, and then just one by one, he runs into. He's kind of like on the heels of Kalam without really knowing it. He runs into Silgar, who's like, "Oh, you're in the House of Chains too," and he's like,
"Yeah, it's like we're one of us."
Yeah. And you're dead.
And you're dead.
Yep. And then he's like, "Oh, so it sounds like Bidethal's running, like the punk that he is." But I know how to track him. So I'm going to go track Bidethal. Finds Bidethal, and it's like, hey, Bidethal, I have just the thing for you. Let me rip off your junk and shove it down your throat, literally. Yep. And then number 2, dead. And then Febral's over there like, poo-poo ka-choo, let me shoot all these shadows and all these assassins with my with my magic hands. And then Karsa's like, and I was behind you the whole time. Break your back, throw you.
Yep.
Just like the scenes. This would be such a fun like Quentin Tarantino montage, honestly.
Yep.
And then ultimately is like tries to find Rello and Corporal O'Dom's like, nah, don't need to deal with them.
I kept being like, why is this dude? I kind of forgot just for a second. I was like, why does this dude want to kill Heberick so bad? And I forgot that they were just feuding from go. He hates Heberick, and I was like, man, this could be bad for Heberick. Truly, like Karsa is not to be fucked with. I don't care how. I mean, that's the thing though. It's like Heberick is now the destriant of Treach, who's real fucking strong too.
Yeah.
I don't, I don't know how that will go down if it does. I don't think I see it going. Seems like he's going off to back towards like Leoman and stuff at the end.
Yeah, I don't think he's going. I think he's on his own journey. I don't think he's going after.
Yeah,
Hedrick.
I think Hedrick would have been like the cherry on top if he could, but these other guys were more like they deserve to die, and Hedrick's like a grudge kind of.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing you gotta remember too is that there was the moment when Shaik had them all open the book, and then Karsa was like crying, and then Hedrick wouldn't open it, and so then she was like, "Okay, Karsa, you can kill him," but she was trying to prove a point, and then Hedrick like flings him.
Yep.
And I think that's the reason why he like that's the last time they encountered. So he's like, no.
He's straight up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's got to like return. You gotta return it, right?
Yep.
So, but yeah, he goes after Corvalo Dom and Camus Rello. Doesn't need to deal with them. They're already taken care of. He runs into the dogs around that same time, and then he's like,
he kills one, wounds the other.
The other tracks it down.
Yep, tracks it down.
Yeah, kills it.
Yep.
And then
with Leoman and Korab as well.
Yep.
That's when they first meet up.
Show up.
Yeah, they show up and they take down the second dog.
Yeah, he's like bleeding everywhere. He's all chewed up. He doesn't care.
Yeah, and I think that one of the next times we see him, it's from someone else's perspective, and they just see this giant dude riding a giant horse with 2 chains and 2 gigantic dog heads on them. I was just like, damn, this is cool. Like, that's just super badass. Yeah.
He rides up to Devore. He's like, hey, just want to let you know that I was going to kill you all, but I've decided that Malazans are not my enemy. Right. So I'm not going to kill you. Yep. And, so see ya.
Yeah, imagine just be like, so I'm not going to kill you. Bye. And then just gallops off. And then I think really the last thing with him is like, this is another conversation that I feel like there was just so much happening that it kind of whooshed a little bit when he's talking to Sabal. He pulls her out at the water, and he's talking. He says something, and he mentions like mercy, and then tosses her in. So is him tossing her in a mercy, or is it not a mercy?
I think it is a mercy.
He's tossing.
The way I would do.
So because like him tossing her in brings she goes shattered. Back to Rawaku, or you think
because she goes into oblivion because she's shattered.
Oh, so you think that him tossing her into the water does send her to oblivion?
Yep.
So what wouldn't, or like what does
burying her.
What's the act of that doing? Just tossing her into water?
Like I think it's the water that does it.
Okay, so it's
I think that's
like any water or that water.
I think any water, but I think that's going to become more significant as we move on. Like especially like with like Rawaku becoming a desert and like their dust. And so I do wonder a lot about that now. If like there's a real significance to the fact that like Rawaku was water, but then
get a new mud faction.
Yeah. But I think that I think it's just like they're undead, but they are people of dust, and so
it's about glory. He talks about how he used to only care about glory. But more important than that is mercy.
Yes. Mercy is more important. So it's like glory is what is it like? Glory is finite and fleeting, but mercy is eternal.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because like he didn't show a whole lot of mercy before that.
Yeah, but I also think that those were people that.
I mean, Sabal's like arguably worse. I mean, the things that. Yeah. I mean, she's a bad guy.
I mean, there's a reason why he shattered her, right? He shattered her because of what she did to his people, and specifically all of the grieving mothers and fathers, which he has a personal relationship to because he has siblings that were offered to the Rock.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. Like instead of dragging her along for eternity, the mercy is killing her.
Yeah, the mercy is oblivion, so she doesn't spend an eternity in shattered.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm there now.
Yeah.
And then he rides west with not necessarily with, but following Leoman and Monok that have the book and basically the rest of the rebels.
Mathok.
Mathok, yeah, sorry. And basically the rest of the rebels are all are all riding west, and rebels riding west. Rebels riding west. Rebels riding west. I can't do it. It's a tongue twister. Can you do it?
Rebels riding west.
Yeah, I gotta say it a couple times fast.
The rebels riding west into the rest.
Rebels riding west. And then I think the last thing with Malazan is Tavor is like, we're going after them. We are going to destroy this rebellion.
Yeah. Well, and notably, I wasn't thinking about this, but I guess it's worth mentioning that we do see that ultimately the Korab, the Fiddler actually and his team catch up with Korab.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that scene. Yeah.
And Renal actually goes to confront, but he orders his particular contingent to go into a sandstorm, chasing after this group because presumably he wants to be able to have some glory through that process. And so, but Korab knows that the sandstorm will serve as a screen. So as soon as they get inside, they turn around, they start firing corals into the marine contingent, and then Renal's horse gets taken out. He falls over, kind of gets lost in the sandstorm, and then Fiddler is like kind of trying to work his way around. He runs into Korab, who then like basically gets knocked over and pulls the fuses on Fiddler's pack, and then Fiddler has to ditch it and is just like running, and that's when we kind of see like the ghost of Hedge like smush Fiddler down. But Renal, who's like kind of meandering through this sandstorm, doesn't get far enough away and it explodes.
Yep.
We presume that Korab survives. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember if it explicitly says, but I'm pretty sure he survives.
Yeah.
And pretty much all of the Marines who survived the initial ambush also survived, but Renal did not. And so then the last we see of Renal is that Cuddle comes out of the sandstorm wearing Renal in his own words.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and then somebody comes around. I think Keneb like asks where Renal is, and Cuddle's like, "He's here."
Yeah, yeah,
yep.
I think
so. We do see that, but the last thing I was just gonna say was just Felison. So we get one.
Oh
kind of
yeah, duh. We didn't even talk about the freaking duel.
Yeah, I thought that's where we should end, right? Because it's like it's so tragic. But yeah, so Felison, Drishna gets killed. Felison feels the whirlwind goddess be depleted, and she finds herself in armor with her sword drawn, staring down Tavor, and she's just playing back all these memories in her head and just all these questions.
I'm interested.
And then
I had a different timeline than that.
Yeah.
I thought it was she feels the goddess gone, realizes how similar they are. She just has this hatred for her, and she dons the armor anyways and then goes down.
Yep.
Yeah, instead of like I don't think the goddess brought her. I think at the end of the day she brought herself. She instead of forgiving her sister or anything, she goes. She just can't help herself.
Because the only thing is, before Lorg went into the fissure to see Drishna die, he sees Shaik with her armor donned. So she definitely like dons the armor.
Maybe she
as
dons the armor, but then I think she makes the walk. By her.
Yeah, she makes the walk by herself. Yeah, I think so. And pulls the sword.
Yeah,
like as like Felison, and she's like playing back all these memories. But yeah, I mean she confronts Tavor on her own with a helmet on, so Tavor does not know who it is.
Yep.
And intending to die. She knows she can't beat Tavor. And Tavor, in one clean stroke, just runs her through and kills Shaik. And I was really like amazed that Tavor didn't rip off the helmet. But there's kind of this moment of like Tavor does not want to be there. Like it's just kind of it's a cold necessity. And again, it's kind of that cold iron, right? Meets hot iron, right? Tavor meets Felison, and then that cold iron prevails.
Yeah.
With this, and they even talk about cold iron just being like swift and efficient, right? It's like to the death, coldly, quickly.
Yeah, once you're dead, I don't care who you are. You're dead.
Yep.
Move on.
And it's just like this brutal efficiency, this sort of passionless efficiency, and that's like Tavor just does it, and then doesn't even clean off her sword, just scabbards it and heads back.
Yeah.
And then ultimately,
it feels like seconds too, but it's seconds before Lestar, Yale, and Pearl are able to
Yep.
give her the information, and yeah, it
Yep.
just it makes it even more tragic. And
Yep.
they
Yeah.
bury,
Yeah.
they secretly bury
They
her because they can't be
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
burying
Tavor
her.
asks like what happens to Fellison. They're like, well, she died quickly. They don't
Yeah.
even say that like, oh, that was Fellison. Like they
Yep.
intentionally hide it from her.
Yep.
And then after she walks away, Pearl kidnaps the body to bury her. So that way Tavor will never know
Yep.
that the Shaikh was Fellison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very tragic.
Hmm.
Yeah, really sad end for Fellison. I this pretty yeah, just a, I mean, God, her whole story is just
Yeah.
awful. It's just sad. I mean, yeah, rough. And like it's one of those that like it's completely believable to me why she walked down there. She just
Mhm.
she just doesn't have it in her to reveal it to her sister, and she just doesn't think that Tavor loves her.
Mhm.
Even I think she's just still in denial. I don't think she believes that the sister was trying to protect her. I don't think she ever found out that that was the case. We know that,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
all she thinks is that she hates her, and yeah, I just find that whole thing just really sad, and I'm sad Fellison's gone, and she's, I mean, who knows? We'll start the fifth book, and Steven Erickson will be like, and then she ascended. And I'll be like, all right, okay, everyone that
Mhm.
dies ascends, because I mean, technically, Whiskey Jack is ascended now.
Mhm.
Um, Oh, you know what? One other part that I really liked, and one other thing too. One, I really liked the reunion of Fiddler, Quick Ben, and Callum. That was really nice. The three of them. I think the last three, the other than the ones that survived and went
Yes.
to
Yes. That's correct.
wherever they went.
Yep.
So they think they're the last three, and then obviously close, long time friends. So that was really nice. But then I couldn't help but think like, after all this finally ends, like we cut to a new scene and ships dock on the land, and Dujek One Arm's like, "We're here, charge!" And it's just like, all right, Dujek One Arm, like
Yep.
a little late, buddy. So yeah, I don't
Mhm.
know where he's at or what's going on there, but yeah, I just thought that was funny. I'd be curious to see where we pick up with that next time, because I think
Mhm.
Hebrick and them are kind of maybe going in a similar direction to where they could run into Dujek, and the Malazans, but I don't know.
Possible. They did like it did. I mean, it was mentioned. Like Heber kind of mentions, like they made it real far. Like they covered a lot of distance very quickly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he talks about like how the horses must have been blessed by Shriek because they moved like almost twice as quickly as he expected, and they're not even tired.
Yeah, but they're kind of, if they're going back to those mines, which were kind of like northeast of the seven
Mhm.
cities.
Yep.
I imagine. I don't think they've crossed that body of water yet, and I think that that's where Dujek was coming in, right in the northeast, and then
Yeah,
coming.
but I think he's already like made it. Right. I think that's the thing.
Oh, Dujek.
Yeah, I think he's already landed because I believe they mentioned that he
Oh, he
landed.
did land. Oh, okay, I missed
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
just haven't marched and made it to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they might just march and meet up with Tavor and go from
Yeah,
there or something.
I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think we did it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Unless I'm missing one other gigantic piece of information that everything was
Oh, you
building
remember
to.
that time that Carrion showed back up?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yep. And him and Troll started making out, and then time ran backwards,
Yep.
and it's actually just a love story
Yep.
between
Yep.
them. They grew up together,
Yep.
childhood friends, turned into lovers, were split apart by time. Yeah, tragic, but also great. It's actually just a romantasy. Yeah, it's basically just smut. But yeah, okay. Let's we we did it. 3 hours.
There we go.
You know what? I think going into this one I was like probably gonna be 4 hours because this is probably the longest section of any of the books so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. We'll talk about more in the barf review what we thought if you haven't been able to already. Any closing thoughts? We're gonna wrap it up.
Nope. Just once again, so we'll have some videos over the next couple of weeks, but we'll be taking several weeks off. So we probably won't be doing the first sub book of the next until sometime around May. Now we did bring this up, so I guess our last thing we did bring this up in the last video that we did, but our next book that we're going to be reading. So, are we reading the next book in the series, or are we reading
Yeah,
the
it is.
novella?
It is Midnight Tides, and then between 5 and 6 is is. I don't think it's a novella. It's just another book, but it's the Ian
Okay.
C. Esselmont book.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's Knight of Knives. Is that what that is?
I don't know. It might be. Yeah, it
Okay.
might be. But
So
yeah,
yeah,
we'll
so
figure that out.
Midnight
But I
Tides will be
believe that
next.
Midnight Tides is definitely next. I will double check the comments on the last video. A couple of people have let us know. So I'll double check before we get into it. But I believe we're going into Midnight Tides,
Okay.
which is sweet, and then we'll be halfway done with the 10.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. Sweet. Thanks to the veterans. Goodbye.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye. I'm
Good
Matt.
night. I mean.
Bye.